At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets play the Washington Nationals. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets play Game 3 of their 4-game series against the Nationals. The Mets finally beat the Nats at Citi Field last night after losing 12 in a row, and one of the spark plugs was Eric Young, who scored the winning run for the Mets. And over the last few days, Young has, at least for the moment, reclaimed what has been a chaotic left field situation for the Mets this year.
Well, you know, it's been a revolving door out in left field, and he has been kind of the odd man out with Neuenhuisen, Dendecker. Chris Young was there, of course, the veteran. Only 11 starts since the All-Star break. And you know what? His attitude is so solid. He has been on that bench. He has not complained. He has been used at one point just strictly as a pinch runner and would go in and steal a base. He did it all the time. And now he's getting his opportunity to play every day. 3 straight starts were 2 or more hits, and he's been in the middle of things. He's a hustler. He's a great guy to have on the ball club.
Last year's National League stolen base champion. You wonder, would he be part of the situation here going forward as the Mets try and work toward being a contender down the road?
Well, I certainly think so, because if you're going to have a guy that's going to be your 4th, 5th outfit or your bench player, he's got to be willing to accept that role. And usually it's the best role for a veteran, and that is what Eric Young is. And he's accepted this role and just waits his turn. It's a positive attitude.
On the mound for the Mets tonight, it's Zach Wheeler, and Mets could not have really asked for more from what Zach has given them over the last 2.5 months.
I tell you what, over the last 2.5 months ago, no one would have thought he would have 10 wins. But there he is right now. He's 10-9 on the year. He already turned his season around. He hasn't pitched that great against Washington. This is his 4th start against Washington. He's 1-2 on the year.
And the Mets will have to try and find a way to solve Doug Fister. They haven't found one yet.
Well, he missed 7 starts early in the season, and there he is, 13-9 on the year. He has beaten the Mets twice, back-to-back, actually, in August, early August. He beat him in Washington and beat him here at Citi Field, only giving up 1 run in those 2 starts, and that was unearned.
And no walks in the 2 starts as well, so a tough test for the Mets tonight against Fister. Wheeler pitches for the Mets. All the action's coming your way right here on Pix 11. Your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2014 models. By Verizon, introducing Verizon Fios Quantum TV, redefining what TV can be. That's powerful. By Toyota, let's go places. By the New York Lottery, hey, you never know. By Nissan, choose Nissan today for great offers on their most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. And by McDonald's. Visit McDonald's today for a tasty bacon clubhouse burger or chicken sandwich at participating McDonald's. Get to Citi Field tomorrow for Family Sunday when the Mets take on the Nationals at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Curtis Granderson poster courtesy of Nylabone and Avoderm. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays. Keys to the game brought to you by your Tri-State Kia retailers. We're going to start on time. It had been raining earlier today, but John DeMarsico was well into his rain theme.
And for you Met fans, that's Elvis in the truck that we cut. That's how he's known for us. And you can see the 22 home runs in 14 games. They are rainmakers. And Zacks and Dogs, it's raining. That's pretty clever. Look at the record those two guys have had since the late June. And will David be missed? Misty eyes or mist in the weather? I don't know. But the runs are not very good since he's been out.
Well, Zach Wheeler will try and keep down the number of runs the Mets need to score tonight to beat the Nats. First pitch is coming up from Citi Field. Let's go places. The Nats have reduced their magic number to 8 for clinching the National League East. Actually now down to 7 because the Braves lost this afternoon. They've got a 9-game lead, so they're moving toward their second division title in 3 years. Jose Lobaton replaces Wilson Ramos behind the plate. Jason Worth back in the lineup after a day off. And that's the lineup Zach Wheeler will take on tonight.
Well, you look at Zach's numbers right there. I like the hits to innings pitched. The walks, he needs a little work. You know, he had his streaks where he walks a lot of guys, and he has his streaks where he's pitched well, not walked people. But I think all in all, this has been a great step forward for Zach this year. And we'll take a look at the Geico defense. That is the Metsy defense, brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. I got it in quick enough. No, I missed the outfield. You saw it, folks. Herrera is at second base. Murph is at third. Behind the plate, Darno. That was wonderful.
Defensive note on Dilson Herrera. He started 3 double plays last night. The first Met second baseman to start that many double plays in a 9-inning game since Jeff Kent in 1993. And the rub is Herrera actually started 4 double plays last night, but one was not ruled a double play as they didn't overturn the call at first.
That's over 20 years ago.
That's amazing.
That's incredible.
You would have thought it would have happened between then and now.
Absolutely. Especially with Alfonso out there, Gardo. Right?
Robbie Alomar playing second base for a while. That's a pretty good second baseman, but Dilson Herrera etches that number in the books. Really helped out Dylan G. And Carlos Torres last night. Torres only got 5 outs. He got 4 of them on 2 double plays started by Herrera. Zach Wheeler has faced the Nats 3 times this year. Hasn't fared particularly well. Last time he faced them, he did better. 1-2 against them this season. But Wheeler has now gone 13 straight starts, allowing 3 earned runs or less. 7-1 with a 2.21 ERA over those 13 starts, and got himself a victory his last time out against Cincinnati. Denard Span will lead things off for the Nats, who had beaten the Mets 12 straight times at Citi Field before the Mets held on to win last night. It'll be Span, Rendon, and Worth against Wheeler.
Well, Span's had himself a nice season. Obviously hitting .300, not a power hitter, 30 stolen bases on the year.
And as you can see, rain is falling as we start play tonight. The tarp was on the field for most of the afternoon. They peeled it off in time to get the game started on time.
The rain is pushing out. It's pushing east. They're getting dumped on eastern Long Island right now.
How would you know that?
I have my radar working.
I thought maybe you just had sources. First pitch of the night by Wheeler, a fastball too low for ball 1, and we're underway. Span 8 for 18 in his career against Wheeler. There you see the light rain falling up in the lights. But most of the patrons in the lower seats are not opening up umbrellas, so it's not all that uncomfortable. 2-0 to Span. A poncho will do.
It is a fall evening. It's like summer is over. It's damp, a little misty.
63 degrees at game time. And Span takes a strike, 2-1.
We have, for the first time since early in the season, broken out the heaters, folks, underneath our the desk here to keep us warm. I thought I would just throw that in there.
A little inside baseball. Zach Wheeler tonight making his 30th start of the year, and he's going to push right to the end of the season. The Mets spotted Rafael Montero 1 start. Wheeler will have this one and 2 more before the end of the season, and he should be up around 190 innings when the year comes to an end. Span grounds one for Herrera, and that's the first out of the night. And I think that's important for Wheeler to build up that kind of innings count, because next year the Mets aspire to be a contender, and if you're a contender, you're going to play important games down the stretch and maybe into October, and you have to be ready to pitch more than 200 innings.
You would hope so. I know that they nurse the guys along. There's Matt Harvey. He's here, of course. And that's another splendid addition, hopefully, next year.
And that, of course, will be an interesting question. If the Mets do get to the stretch next year and they're in it and they're looking toward playing in October and Harvey's coming back from Tommy John surgery, the Mets will be faced with a situation not unlike the one that the Nationals had 2 years ago with Steven Strasburg.
Yes.
And Terry Collins made a rather interesting statement earlier this week talking about that as Anthony Rendon takes ball 1. He said he thinks that if the Nats had it to do again, they might have handled Strasburg differently. Now, Mike Rizzo, the general manager for the Nats, said absolutely not. We're completely comfortable with what we did 2 years ago. We would not have done it any differently. But the question's still there. They shut down their best pitcher. They wound up losing in the first round of the playoffs.
Yes, they did.
And you never know what might have happened had he been there.
And that was a Steven Strasburg that was a lot better than the Steven Strasburg this year.
1-1 to Rendon, who's had a great series, 6 for 10 with a couple of home runs. But it certainly will present a question for the Mets next year about how they handle Harvey as the year goes along, because you know there'll be some limit on him. So do you skip him a couple of times during the year? Do you limit his innings as he moves along? Or do you just roll the dice and see what happens? I think the last is the least likely to happen. That's hit the other way, and Rendon's got another hit.
This kid can play.
7 for 11 in the series now. First base runner of this game.
I know that he's red hot, but he's just got a beautiful swing. He's pulled the ball. He's hit 2 home runs in this series. In the first 2 games, he has shown the ability to drive the ball the other way like this. That's going right with a pitch away. He is a future star, if not already.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Jason Worth. Worth got the night off last night with what Matt Williams described as dead legs.
It can happen.
Worth has been struggling with the virus as well, which certainly might have contributed. Remember, he was right in the middle of things when Bartolo Colon got ejected 2 nights ago. It was Worth getting hit by a pitch that led to Colon's ejection.
I had dead legs once in a stretch run. We were playing in St. Louis too against the Cardinals, and that was either, I believe it was probably '87. And obviously I was 30 something. I was 33 years old. I forget, 30, maybe 34. And I told Wyndham Davies' office I took myself out of lineup because I wasn't going to be able to hit because I had nothing in my legs. They put me in the hot tub, the jacuzzi tub with ice water, and that completely reinvigorated my legs. The next day I was fine.
And that's something players do all the time now. Yep. They rave, a lot of them, about the ice baths and how much that keeps their legs fresh over the course of the season.
I am a believer.
Adam LaRoche waiting on deck. Ball and a strike to Worth, who's in the top 5 in the league in on-base percentage. And Wheeler works off the plate at 96 miles an hour, 2-1.
He can bring it.
Zach has had an extra day of rest since his last start. Everybody in the rotation has. That was the whole idea of bringing Montero up to make a start. Now, Terry Collins said today Montero is going to go into the bullpen starting tomorrow. Might get one more start at the end of the year, but the Mets have a couple of off days coming up, Thursday and the following Monday, so they should be able to ride their rotation out from here. Worth pops one foul that'll make it into the seats. 2-2. Who's Hot brought to you by Tom Warner Cable. Enjoy better, and Zach Wheeler certainly is hot.
Well, the numbers don't lie, and I remember him being 3-8, and I remember thinking, gosh, is he going to be a bust? He was pitching awful and wild all over the place, and boy, oh boy, look at the turnaround. That shows perseverance. It shows inner strength.
Worth fouls away the fastball. I think what Wheeler has done, and I speculated about this about a month or so ago, and notwithstanding Matt Harvey's comments earlier this week, I think Zach has made himself the front runner at the moment to be the Mets opening day starter next year.
Well, I wasn't stunned with Harvey's comments. It was a little bit presumptuous, I thought. So strike 3 and a great breaking ball.
So Wheeler fans Worth with the curve, his first strikeout of the night.
As far as I'm concerned, Matt Harvey's not a lock for opening day pitcher next year.
Well, I mean, he's got a lot to prove coming back during spring training. Got to show that he's fully healthy and back to being the pitcher that he was. Of course, every Met fan hopes that he is that and more. But based on what he's done this year, Wheeler has certainly cast himself right at the top of consideration for starting the year next season. Here's Adam LaRoche, who was on base 5 times last night with a single and 4 walks. In fact, the Mets walked him intentionally in the 9th inning when he represented the go-ahead run. And then Henry Mejia struck out Desmond to end the game as that pickoff throw almost got away.
And then what? Henry broke out the fishing rod?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a little much. And in fact, Terry Collins said that he spoke to Mejia today and asked him to tone it down a little bit. And Henry said he got the message and he'd probably go back to what he was doing before. Just the what do they call it? The backbreaker?
Whatever.
The Bristol stomp?
Or whatever they want to call it. Well, this is the new wrinkle right here. And that's not going to endear yourself with the opposing players, the opposing team. But Henry's done a fine job out there in that bullpen. There's Matt Williams, rookie manager for the Nationals.
LaRoche cracks one to deep center, but Lagares has it lined up. Retreats to grab it. Side retired. Wheeler gets through the opening inning. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first. No score.
He's going to tone that down a little bit. I didn't see it. I didn't see his. I saw it today, but I didn't see it last night. And certainly, our job is not here to embarrass anybody, embarrass the other team. And they get emotional, they get excited, and they become reactionary. It's certainly not directed at anybody or to offend anybody on either team. But he's a little over the top last night. We're going to tone it down.
Well, I guess my question would be, where is the line? I mean, the closer have been celebrating back since Dennis Eckersley. What's the line? What makes it too much?
That makes it too much. The fishing line was a little bit, the fishing rod. I think the key word coming out of Terry was, we don't want to show anybody up, the opposing team up. In other words, you just let little sleeping dogs lie, when you're beating up on a team, which is certainly not the case here with the Nationals. You don't want to wake them up and give him anything to hang a flag out and make a charge.
6'8" Doug Fister on the mound for the Nationals tonight.
And they got him from the trade for Detroit, his first year with the Nationals. Sinker ball pitcher, great movement on his fastball. Mets have not figured him out.
2 starts against the Mets. Mets have yet to score an earned run against him. Young hits one right back to him. And EY is retired for the first out. And we'll take a look at the Mets starting lineup, brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Wilmer Flores, after a day off yesterday, back in the lineup. Daniel Murphy, after sitting out with the bruised wrist yesterday, right back in there after getting drilled on Friday night. Here's Juan Lagares with 1 out. Lagares had the go-ahead hit in last night's game, a ringing double that scored Eric Young from first base in the 5th inning, and the Mets bullpen did a spectacular job from there of nailing down a 4-3 win.
Juan stole his 13th base last night. He has stolen 9 bases in the last 2 weeks, and they are telling him when to go. Am I correct, Garrett?
That's correct. Hit hard, and that's a base hit for Lagares, and maybe he'll get a chance to steal another one.
So Juan showing that he's actually swinging the bat pretty doggone good the last couple of weeks too. I like the fact that he's hitting line drives. He went through a period here where he hit some home runs, and he's back to his line drives, hitting the ball to all fields, starting to pull a little more, which I like to see, which comes with experience. He's getting plenty of that this year. But he's becoming more of the mold, and I said it before, Garrett, Tommy Agee, a guy that can lead off, steal bases.
Here's Murphy with 1 out and 1 on. Murph went 0 for 3 on Friday night, or Thursday night. That dropped his batting average just below 300. He's at 299, 9th in the National League in batting. That wrist ballooned up really quickly after he was hit by a pitch, and came out of that game and sat yesterday, but took some swings today, said he was ready to go, and right back there in the 3-hole. Could be a tough stolen base situation for Garris as Murphy pulls one foul. A couple of reasons. One, it's a slow track. And two is Doug Fister is as quick to the plate as anybody in baseball and has not given up a stolen base all year.
Well, and you would think Fister would be slow home. He's a big, tall guy. Look at all that, all legs and arms. But he's quick and compact with his motion from the stretch.
He's ahead on Murphy 0-2. And Murph goes down swinging. That's the second out of the inning. Fister doesn't strike out many, but he has his first of the night.
And we'll take a look at the national defense brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on your insurance. The two-corner outfield is pretty good. That outfield is solid. One of the best outfields in the National League. Rendon having to move to third base. Really the second baseman with the injury to Ryan Zimmerman, the hamstring. It's kept him out for a long time. Boy, Ryan Zimmerman just can't stay healthy, huh?
Zimmerman's been working out with the Nats all weekend. Duda fouls one off, and the plan is for Ryan to go down to Florida to play in some instructional league games starting on Tuesday, and they're hoping maybe to have him back by next weekend. What they do with him when they get him back, that I guess is an open question. They play him at third, move Rendon to second, and sit Cabrera.
I think that would be it.
I think they really hurt their defense if they do that at two different positions.
Yeah, but you got to missing a big hitter in that lineup in Zimmerman.
Look at that. All year he's not allowed a stolen base. Last one allowed last season, Eric Young.
I think Juan can learn to get a little bigger lead at first base.
Lobato makes the snap throw and Lagares gets back.
He doesn't even have his front foot on the cut of the infield cutout where the circular part is, and then the line going straight. He's got a very small, that is not an aggressive lead, and that's normally where he takes his lead. And I think if he's going to steal bases, and I think the Mets want him at the top of the order, I think they found a spot for him now. They're going to want him to steal 20+ bases. He's going to have to get an aggressive lead.
And that's been the idea about picking spots for him to go and saying you've got to run on this pitch. They've not yet given him a green light, but I think they're trying to work him toward the situation where he can pick his own spots. But for now, just giving him the confidence he can steal. Duda cracks one to center. On comes Denard Span, and he's got it to end the inning. A hit and one left after one at Citi Field. Mets and Nats, no score. The 2014 Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity. Second inning, no score. Ian Desmond lead off for the Nationals.
There you guys a look. That looks like a David Crosby mustache.
That's a good call. Looks like he could. David's got a few pounds on him. Ian Desmond 1 for 8 in this series. Struck out to end the game last night. That gave him 174 strikeouts for the year, the most of any player in the National League.
That's way too many strikeouts. And a lot of them, most of them obviously come against the right-handers because you face more right-handers than left-handers. But I think proportionately, he strikes out a lot against the right-handers.
Bryce Harper on deck. Wheeler gets a strike on the slider, 1-1.
Takes a very, very violent swing. And he stays level. He gets the barrel through. But he chases breaking balls. He hasn't quite mastered the breaking ball yet. Desmond, I think, is quite a player.
22 home runs this year. Third straight year he's had 20 or more home runs, and he's one stolen base away from his third year of 20 homers and 20 steals. There you see the strikeout numbers. Of course, Stanton's year is over.
Yep.
Marlins are coming in here on Monday night to start a series. It's going to be odd to see them without Stanton. Last night and again tonight, Mike Redmond moved Casey McGee up to the 3 spot, and he's batting Marcell Ozuna cleanup in that Marlins batting order. Very different look. They played Ed Lucas in right field last night. They're playing Garrett Jones in right field tonight.
They're hurting.
It's a huge hole.
They're hurting.
And coincidentally, the Mets passed the Marlins in the standings last night, moving to third place in the National League East. 3-2 to Desmond, leading off the second. And Wheeler walked him. First walk given up by Wheeler, who's given up the second most walks of any pitcher in the National League. That's the real downside this year for Zach.
You know what? But Zach's young, and it's a work in progress. And I think as he gets more experience as the years go by, and he stays healthy, obviously, we'll see marked improvement.
Well, that's what happened in Ron Darling's career.
Yeah.
He led the league in walks early in his career, and then was able to garner more control as he got older and more experience.
He got it real quick. Some guys just pick it up quick, get it.
There's Bryce Harper. Well, Desmond, as we mentioned, one steal away from his 20th of the year. He'll become, if he gets it, only the 4th shortstop in Major League history with 3 20-20 seasons, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. You would think there would be more, but there are only 3. Hanley Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez, and Jimmy Rollins, the only 3 shortstops who've ever had 3 20-20 years, and Desmond right on the cusp of that.
Remember when he came up, he made all those throwing errors. He was just really a raw talent.
Now Desmond, maybe the most respected player in that Nationals clubhouse. The last member of the Nationals who was drafted by the Montreal Expos their last season before they moved to Washington. And really paying a lot of attention to him. Harper just 1 for 11 in his career against Wheeler. Sales went up and away, a ball and a strike.
Well, Harper's had a year. You can see him trying to keep that shoulder in. He's doing that little drill in between pitches. He's had an injury year again. He's another guy is injury prone. Only 30 RBIs, only hitting .203 with runners in scoring position this year.
Missed 2 months with a thumb injury that required surgery. 2 balls and a strike to Harper. Well, 2-time All-Star, and he's only 21 years old. That bears remembering. But you see the OPS has gone down steeply since last year. On base plus slugging percentage. And the changeup from Wheeler misses, and now he's behind 3-1 after issuing a leadoff walk. That was Drupal Cabrera, the on-deck batter. Harper takes a rip.
Harper has a funky swing. He does things sometimes, and then he doesn't do it. He falls away in the swing here. I don't like the head. It's almost like it's like a golfer. How they're supposed to keep your head down after you make contact. I don't think he's so extreme looking at the ball, seeing the ball through to the catcher's glove. I don't think that's necessary in baseball. Hitting. It's too extreme.
Lifted along the line, and Young watches it sail out of play.
It's almost out of that Walt Heriniak and Charlie Lau school, which I am not an adherent.
What makes it similar to the Heriniak style?
Heriniak always had the head down, and I always think of Gedman in the World Series, how Sid just made him look like a corkscrew up there, and it's tilted eyes too. He tilts his eyes like Granderson a lot.
That's a problem. Why is that a problem?
Well, we're going to take a look here. He's got a great take back, but see how he turns his head? You see that?
And why does that become an issue?
It's just, it makes you drop your shoulder. You've always got to hit, I feel, with your eyes parallel to the ground. Now, it works for him. He's in the big leagues. He's had good seasons.
There goes Desmond, and Harper fouls off another one.
But is he going to be a 330 hitter? Is he going to be an exceptional hitter? Now, when you're an exceptional hitter, you're hitting 310, 320. Is Harper going to be that? I don't know. I'm not. He hasn't got a beautiful swing. It's a very unorthodox swing.
A violent swing.
Yes, and he's very strong. And I am not knocking the swing. It's just unorthodox, and I've seen a lot of great hitters that are unorthodox swingers. Whatever works for you.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at bat from Wheeler to Harper. And he rockets one deep right field, right down the line. Gone if it stays fair. And that ball is out of here. A 2-run homer for Bryce Harper up in the Pepsi porch. And the Nationals, who took a night off from the bombardment last night, have themselves an early 2-0 lead.
Well, after I've dissected his swing, and he goes upper tank, but I did qualify my comments. So he's got a very fast bat, and this is right down the middle. And you know what? That's 96 miles an hour, and you got to get the barrel through, and he did. That is a rocket. He's got a great take back, so he has no wasted motion on his take back, so he can get the bat through.
13th home run of the year for Harper.
It's like he did it on purpose to show me up.
Asdrubal Cabrera fouls one off. Well, the Nationals continue to come into Citi Field and make this place look small.
Yes.
Last night Rendon homered. Now Harper. So in the last 14 games the Nats have played here, they've out-homered the Mets 33-6.
Well, you look at their lineup here, and they got 3 guys with 20 home runs plus. They've got in the lineup 5 guys with double digits in home runs.
Cabrera's out on 3 pitches as Wheeler takes care of him in a hurry.
That was overmatch right there. That was just fastballs and good night.
Well, the Nationals are 4th in the National League in home runs, but since the 1st of August, they are by far number 1 in home runs. They've hit 55 home runs now in 40 games since August 1st, and that's far more than any other team in the league. So their power has only increased as the year has gone along. Here's Jose Lobaton, backup catcher, getting a start. He takes a curveball for a strike. And Wheeler blows one by him, 0-2. The home run was the 14th that Zach has allowed in 172 innings this year. That's not a bad rate at all. But Harper outlasted him, a 9-pitch at bat, resulting in that upper deck 2-run homer. 1-2 coming to Lobaton. And it's away with the fastball. Lobaton starting his 55th game this year. He takes in the dirt 3-2. Came over from Tampa Bay in a spring training trade. The player going the other way to the Rays was a pitcher, Nate Carnes, and Carnes got his first major league win for the Rays last night. Lobaton cracks one into right for a base hit.
Well, this might be a day where there's not the usual zing in Wheeler's fastball early. They're getting the barrel out. This is also right down the pipe.
So the third hit off Wheeler. 1-out single, and now Pfister will go up there to bunt. 3 hits, 9 sacrifices for Pfister this year. Spent his entire career in the American League before this year, so he's had only 15 career at bats before this season. And another pitcher who hits from the opposite side he pitches from.
Yep. So it exposes their pitching arm.
We've seen that more in the last couple of years than ever before. And now Wheeler falls behind him 2-0. You got both Murphy and Duda charging very hard from the corners on that last pitch, and so Pfister taking an extra beat, looking down to his third base coach Bob Henley to see if maybe they change it up. Pops up the bunt, and Darno puts it away. 2 out. Well, the Mets finally beat the Nats here at Citi Field last night, but this takes you back to the beginning of that Washington winning streak, and including tonight, the home run numbers are just off the charts. 33-6 now if we include tonight's home run.
Oh, look at the ERAs too.
So it's been lopsided.
Hey, this is the best team, probably one of the top 2 teams in the National League, them and the Dodgers.
Right now they're a half game in front of the Dodgers for the best record in the league. Here's Denard Span with a runner at first and 2 out. Span grounded out his first trip and takes a curveball for a strike. The Nats now with a magic number of 7 for clinching the division, so they're right on the cusp of that, and they could even clinch it head-to-head against Atlanta. They play this weekend.
Well, look at the Mets, only 3 games behind the Braves, and they're going to go down next weekend and play 3 against the Bravos.
Right after the Nats get through with them. Nats and Braves play midweek. That's fouled away. Now the Braves are in deep trouble as far as making the postseason. They lost again today. They've lost their first 2 games in Texas against a team that hasn't swept a series since April. And Atlanta's now 3.5 games out of the second wild card and fading. After sitting in first place for a good part of the year today, a drop fly ball by Justin Upton led to 3 unearned runs, and they lost. So they're really going in the wrong direction.
How about the Giants in that West? They beat the heck out of the Dodgers last night.
Young playing toward the line. That was the right place to be against Span. And that retires the side. But Bryce Harper gives the Nats the early lead. Harper worked a 9-pitch at bat and then unloaded against Zach Wheeler into the Pepsi porch. His 13th home run of the year. 2-0 Washington in the second. rookie season. Get 4 tickets for just $48 to all games through September 17th. To purchase 4 field level tickets for just $48, get to Mets.com/DeGrom. Rhymes.
You are a poet.
Don't you know it? Travis d'Arnaud leads off the home second inning. d'Arnaud, another big hit last night, a 2-run double in the first inning that got the Mets ignited.
You know, d'Arnaud's hitting .230 with runners in scoring position, and that's very deceptive. You know, like his batting average, it's been a long climb up from that horrific April that he had before he got sent down in early May.
Well, he's now played 62 games since returning. And in those 62 games, he's hitting .283 with 10 home runs and 31 runs driven in. And if he could keep up that pace for a full season, you'd have something big time on your hands.
Agreed.
Granderson and Flores to follow in the second, and d'Arnaud pops one up in foul ground. That'll go out of play. 2-2. Doug Fister out in front of the Mets again. He beat the Mets twice in a week span back in early August. Each time by 7-1 scores, and each time without allowing an earned run. Now he's got an early lead in this game.
Both games he went 7 innings.
Cabrera to his left and throws out d'Arnaud one away. Well, Fister went through a little rough patch late August, early September. Lost 3 straight starts with a 5.94 ERA, but bounced back in his last start Monday against the Braves. 7 scoreless innings, just 2 hits in a 2-1 win.
You would be correct. The Giants beat up on him, Philadelphia beat up on him, and the Dodgers beat up on him. And you know, pitchers go in slumps just like hitters.
Here's Granderson. Curtis 1 for 7 in the series, and the one was a pop fly that should have been caught that fell for a double. So the hard times have returned for Granderson after a brief rejuvenation, and he gets drilled by a pitch, which has been kind of a theme in this series. And the Mets have a 1-out base run.
Fister right now is a little bit off with his breaking stuff. It's a little erratic. He's got to find the zone. Got the thigh a little bit, little grazing blow.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Wilmer Flores got a night off last night. Ruben Tejada played shortstop. Flores has hit the skids 0 for his last 20. So Wilmer's seen his batting average drop to .224, and the problem with Flores when he goes in a slump is he doesn't walk. He's only had 9 walks, 205 official at bats this year, and shows bunt with the third baseman Rendon playing back. I don't think he had any intention of bunting.
Rendon is not coming in. He's saying go ahead, bunt it if you like.
We got the 8-hitter Herrera on deck. And Wilmer hits one slowly. Desmond to Cabrera and on to first, and they turn 2. Wow. That ball hit very slowly, and yet the Nats still turn the 6-4-3 double play. That gets Fister through the bottom of the second. On to the third we go. 2-0 Washington.
slow roller. He can come in quick to cut the distance down, but he has time to read the ball and position himself for the double play. Now, I don't agree with his glove being on the other side. So he's got to bring it all the way back. It should have been more, right in the middle of his body. So it's a easier, quicker take back. He's on the far left side of his body. He's got to bring it all the way to the right. Those are precious seconds, but he still gets the job done.
How important is it for a middle infielder to angle his feet the way he did so he's kind of facing second when he receives the ball?
Well, it just makes it easy to throw the ball. And a routine ground ball like that, that's not hit hard, where you always want to charge the ball, controlled charge. That when you say infielders, you got to charge the ball. It's really, you got to come in on the ground ball, controlled. You're coming in. When it's hit softly like that, you can play the hop. It's easy to get set and get yourself in the best possible position to make the throw that's necessary, which in Desmond's case was a short throw for the force out to start the double play, and he had that with his right foot open a little bit, so it made it an easier throw for him.
Anthony Rendon leading off in the third.
That is just so routine on a major league level, that ground ball.
Well, to me, the shocking part was on a ball hit that slowly, you don't often see a double play turn.
Well, unless, of course, there's Smokey Burgess in the end of his career running to first base.
Right. John Olerud, Dave Magadan. 2-2 now to Rendon. But Flores just does not get down the line well, and I think that's part of, that's part of what the Mets are watching.
Right.
Rendon had a base hit to right field his first time up. And Wheeler misses high and runs a full count. Wheeler coming off a 30-pitch second inning. Harper hit a 2-run homer. Lobaton had a base hit. A lot of deep counts for Zach. And in what has been a superb second half for Zach, this is the continuing thing that he's fighting against. These long at-bats, long innings. Trying to find a way to reduce his pitch count. Trying to find a way thus to get deeper into games. And now as we get late in the season and the Mets being a little more strict with their young pitchers and their pitch counts, it becomes that much more problematic. Jason Worth on deck, Adam LaRoche behind him. Had a light rain falling since the start of the game, but not anything nearly hard enough to affect play, just enough to make it a little uncomfortable.
Taking a lot of time, Wheeler. Not in sync with d'Arnaud. And like I said, still struggling with his fastball tonight.
Past Wheeler and into center field, and Rendon has yet another hit. Mets just can't get this guy out. His third straight multiple hit game in this series.
They seem to be on his fastball. A different angle right here. He's pretty straight with his fastball today. And this is his 30th start. This is probably the second or third start where I haven't seen a real good fastball. It happens. And you know what? He could all of a sudden find it in the fourth inning, sixth inning, next inning. He's a little short tonight, early in the game.
Here's Jason Worth, who struck out his first time up, and d'Arnaud's going to have to go out for a conversation as he and Wheeler trying to get in sync.
I think he's going to go, okay, Zach, what do you want to do? What do you have in mind here? Tell me what you want to do so we can just get on the same page.
Got to watch out for Rendon here. He's stolen 15 bases this year. And he's got a nice healthy lead at first base. And Worth takes a curveball down for ball one.
You see, when you're in division, you play each other 18 times a year, sometimes more, 19, and you get more familiarity. Pitchers to the hitters, hitters to the pitcher.
So as those at bats mount and you face a team 3, 4, 5 times in a season, is it more advantage pitcher or more advantage hitter?
I think it's more advantage hitter. Hitter gets more into a rhythm. You always want to know how Wheeler likes to pitch you, how he likes to pitch when he's in trouble. Men on base, late, tight. You know, when the game's on the line, how does he pitch me? That's what you got to know as a hitter. And you know, the book on me was in, so I always looked in those late situations. First strike, and I'd get it a lot. And the bat would be over with. I'd put it in play. So advantage, definitely hitter. They see the breaking ball. I mean, he's got outstanding stuff.
Worth hits it sharply, but right at Flores, and Herrera does the rest to the 6-4-3 double play. A bullet on one hop, and Flores able to pick it, and the rest was routine.
Well, this is one thing, and I said it before, and in this homestand, Flores is terrific at keeping his body in front. Look at that, tough hop. Actually, he fielded it. His body would have, if it had been a little bit higher, it would have been in his stomach, and it actually kind of kicked off his heel of his glove, but he kept his body in front, and he does that. He's really terrific that way. And that's what you have to do. You can't olay it.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Adam LaRoche. I want to get back to the concept of facing a pitcher, starting pitcher, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a season. Did you find as the year went along that pitchers would alter their patterns to you just to try and get you out of your rhythm a little bit?
The great pitchers, they never had a pattern. Don Sutton, Tom Seaver, they always kind of mix things up, particularly Sutton, because he had 5, 6 pitches. But you can get a pattern.
Roche cranks one foul.
You know, Zach's got a great curveball, but the more you face it, you're not going to swing it that bad one in the dirt. You know the elevation it's going to have to be. You've seen it. So you're just more ready. You're more prepared. And it's harder today because of the 3 divisions in interleague play.
Right, but when you're facing a team in division,
right,
that's when you really get an opportunity to see a guy over and over.
I never really went into the 2 World Series I played in. I never went in there feeling really comfortable because I never faced the pitchers. And all of a sudden, it's Bruce Hurst and Roger Clemens. You know, it's not a field mouse out there. They're the good teams. They are there because they have pitching as well as hitting. They're the best team. They're representative of their league.
Another full count for Wheeler. And LaRoche pulls another one foul.
They're on his fastball. It's another thing too with a hard thrower, Gare, is that he's more effective up in the strike zone with his fastball. That gets that little rise to it. He's been down in the strike zone a lot today with his fastball. There it is again. And that tends to, when you face a hard thrower, Clemens, always those kind of guys, and Wheeler is in that class. As far as the fastball is concerned, is you've got to make them get the ball down. It's much easier to hit the ball belt and below. They're more effective upstairs in the letters.
He gets LaRoche with the curveball to put an end to the inning. But another hard-working inning for Wheeler. He's down 2-0 in the middle of the 3rd. For great deals on cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers, visit tristateford.com. On a misty night in New York, Mets are down 2-0. As we go to the bottom of the third, Dilson Herrera, the number 8 hitter, leads off. Herrera 1 for 7 in this series, making his 14th big league start tonight. And takes outside from Doug Fister, who appeared to have trouble with his landing area on that first pitch. It's a little wet, and Fister, 6'8", has a very different landing location than Wheeler. As Herrera pulls one foul, 1-1. Fister spent his entire career in the American League before this year. Seattle, Detroit. A lot of eyebrows raised when the Tigers traded him away after last year. And Herrera lifts one into left center. And Denard Span, who was playing shallow, over there to get it. 1 out. Fister, a 7th round pick for the Mariners in 2006, came up with them, had a terrific start to his career, then was traded in the middle of the 2011 season to Detroit, had a wonderful start for them, went 11-1, and played 2.5 years there before the trade. And so far, the 3 players the Tigers got for Fister have not really contributed. Wheeler lost one hand off the bat there as he took that cut.
Well, it's interesting that Fister's career numbers, he's just a 500 pitcher, 57 and 56.
Well, of course, he pitched for a Seattle team that was terrible when he was there. 13-6 this year, and he doesn't have enough innings to qualify because remember, he started the year on the disabled list. As Wheeler lifts one to left, and Harper gives ground and settles to make the catch for the second out. So Fister missed the first 5 weeks of the season, and he's about, well, going into the day, he was about 7 innings shy of qualifying for the league leaders. If he did qualify, he would be 4th in the National League in ERA. That's how well he's pitched this year. 2.53 ERA coming into this game. Doesn't walk anybody. Doesn't strike out many. In fact, he has the lowest strikeout rate of any pitcher who's pitched 100 innings in the big leagues this year. But he gets ground balls, keeps the pitch count down, and really the antithesis of what Zach Wheeler has done, or at least the way Zach Wheeler has done it.
Well, they're 2 entirely different pitchers. One is an overwhelming, overpowering, raw country chucker, and the other one is a refined control artist, not overpowering. There you go, 86-mile-an-hour fastball on a fastball inside to Young. He's not overpowering. Takes a little off here. He's a surgeon.
Country chucker, huh?
Yeah.
I have visions of Bob Feller throwing in a cornfield in Iowa. Grounded down to first, and Adam LaRoche makes the flip to Fister, who has himself a 1-2-3 inning. We played 3 at Citi Field on a misty night. Nats 2, Mets nothing. gets turned off.
Well, it's like Mookie Wilson. Only knows one gear. Mookie ran everything out. He's in the same mold as Mookie. A hustler.
And, you know, you can make of this what you will. Over the last 2 years, the Mets have been far more successful when Eric Young is in the lineup than when he's not. Matching ponchos. It's a whole row of
baseball
matching
what?
ponchos.
Baseball court?
Ian Desmond leads off in the 4th inning and takes outside from Zach Wheeler. Desmond walked to lead off in the 2nd inning, scored on Bryce Harper's 2-run homer, and that's been the scoring tonight. Ball and a strike to Desmond. They're doing some housekeeping of his own at the front of the mound in his landing area after Pfister did the same in the last half inning. To the right side, Herrera can't make the play, and Desmond is aboard. A hot shot, and Herrera not equal to it. It'll be a base hit for Desmond.
Well, that's a great angle right here to watch. Watch the reaction to Herrera. He got good jump. Oh, it took kind of a offbeat hop. Kind of came back into him. Hit the heel of his glove.
He had the glove in the right place.
Yes, he was going to make the play.
Ball took a left turn. So a leadoff base runner for the 3rd straight inning for Washington. Now Bryce Harper, who cranked one into the Pepsi porch his first time up for his 13th home run. And the first pitch, breaking ball in the dirt.
Well, here's the bomb. Fastball down. Oh, belt high, right down the middle. No doubt.
As Drupal Cabrera waits on deck. Big rip by Harper, 1-1. When Wheeler's gotten in trouble this year, it's generally been the left-hand hitters who punished him. The lefties are hitting .268 against him. The right-handers just .210.
He's given up less home runs. Actually, 7 home runs, excuse me, to the lefties. 6 to righties.
And far more at bats for right-hand hitters.
Yes, I'm going to look right now, Gary, give the fans exactamo. Actually, not really. Surprisingly.
Little dribbler.
Forget it.
Will never throw him out. And Harper has an infield hit. So Harper is 2 for 2. Just a little squib. That goes for a base hit. And the Nats have the first 2 men on in the 4th.
This is a squibber. Change up, got him out in front. And he'll take those. And Wheeler's in a little bit of trouble here. 1st and 2nd, nobody out. Bottom of the order. In regard to how many at bats lefty righty coming into the game, surprisingly, Gare, 328 at bats right-handers on 306 lefties.
There you go. So Dan Warthen out to the mound to talk to Wheeler, has now given up 6 hits over 3 innings plus. Pitch count really rising. Nobody up yet in the Mets bullpen. When there is, if they need a long man, it might well be Daisuke Matsuzaka, and today is Daisuke's birthday. He's 34 today.
And I understand you went down in the clubhouse and asked Daisuke how to say happy birthday in Japanese?
I actually asked one of the Japanese reporters how to say happy birthday, and she said it to me four separate times. It's so complicated.
I know.
I'm not going to even try.
It is. I have no idea. I wouldn't have a shot. I'd have to have, I think, 8 years of Japanese 101.
Here says Drupal Cabrera. There goes the runner. Desmond stealing 3rd, and D'Arnaud throws it down the line, and Desmond will come in to score. Well, Ian Desmond with his 20th stolen base. That helps put him in the record books. And D'Arnaud airmails the throw for an error that brings in a run to make it 3-0.
Good pitch to throw. Throws it into left field, into the line, into the runner, and airmailed it. And watch Harper on the right of your screen. He comes in and sneaks behind the throw. So was that considered a stolen base for Harper?
No. Because he did not run until the ball was thrown down the line.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
So it's a stolen base for Desmond. The run scores, and Harper takes second on an error. And it's 3-0. So Desmond, just the 4th shortstop ever to have 3 20-20 seasons. 22 home runs and now 20 stolen bases for Ian Desmond.
D'Arnaud has got to get rid of that little bit of a wiggle at the top of his throw when he gets to the top in his take back. He gets a little bit, he gets his hand up and it's above his head, it's not at his ear, and he wiggles. Watch the extra motion here. Just a little bit of that twist of the wrist, and those are precious seconds. When you're going to throw runners out stealing, it's a matter of split second whether you get them or not. Here's another angle, and he's not at the ear. He comes up and back too far behind his head. He's got to work on that, and I'm sure they are.
So there's a time issue, but right now there's also an accuracy issue for D'Arnaud. We've seen very few of his throws since his return from the minor leagues be on target.
Well, if you could recall, too, he had some pass ball issues, Gary. Late in games in particular. I think he's solved that. He's been much better late in ball games.
Yep.
So you're supposed to throw at your ear, and you can see it's not even anywhere close. So, work in progress.
2-2 to Cabrera with Harper at second and nobody out. And that just missed inside, full count. Here we are in the 4th inning with nobody out. It's already the 6th full count for Wheeler, which is one of the reasons he's about to throw his 80th pitch.
They're not on the same page, are they? They are really having a hard time. D'Arnaud and Wheeler getting it together.
And Cabrera goes down swinging on the fastball. That's the 4th strikeout for Wheeler. Second time he's gotten Cabrera, 1 out in the inning.
And as I mentioned earlier, Gary, look what his fastball is. Much more effective upstairs. In the letters. Ball has life up there.
So 1 out. Harper still at second, and now the number 8 hitter Lobaton, who had a base hit to right field his first time up. Around some of the races in the American League Central, Detroit took over first place last night. The Tigers were down 2-0 early to Cleveland tonight, but Victor Martinez has just homered, and the Tigers lead the Indians 3-2 in the 4th. Meanwhile, Kansas City up 2-1 on Boston. They're in the 4th. Royals have been in first place for about a week before the Tigers nudged in front last night. Now Kansas City's tied for the 2nd wild card spot with Seattle, just a half game behind Oakland. Seattle and Oakland in the midst of a series, and Felix Hernandez goes tonight, so the Mariners could move in front of the A's with a win tonight. D'Arnaud and Wheeler continue to struggle to get together. 1-0 to Lobaton, and the curveball misses badly. 2-0.
Well, Wheeler just cannot get into a rhythm. He's pitching inordinately slow. And a lot of it has to do with the lineup here. The Washington Nationals have been making him work and have been hitting him. A tad slow bat right there. You're going to face a pitcher that throws as hard as Wheeler. You got to dial it up a little more. But that one was thrown right by him.
2-1 to Lobaton. And that one's off the plate. 3-1. Well, the Giants beat the Dodgers last night behind Madison Bumgarner and now trail the Dodgers by just a game. And as if things couldn't get worse for L.A., they lost Hyunjin Ryu after 1 inning last night, and he may miss a while with a shoulder problem. 3-2 to Lobaton. The Giants, remember, earlier this season, they couldn't win at home. They've now won 10 straight in their home ballpark. By the way, Bumgarner with that win last night, now 18-9. There hasn't been a Giants pitcher win 20 games since 1993. When Billy Swift and John Burkett both won 20. 3-2 coming. Crack to right field. Granderson, though, is right there. Harper tags at second. He'll go over to third. Lobaton hit it hard, but right at Granderson for the second out.
Well, he had 2 fastballs thrown right by him. And here's one on the outer half of the plate. Really making a lot of pitches over the middle with his fastball tonight, Zach.
So 2 out, Harper at second and Harper at third, and Pfister comes up. You know, 1993, when the Giants had those 2 20-game winners, that was the last great pennant race before they added the third division, the wild card. Atlanta edged out the Giants. Atlanta won 104. The Giants won 103 and went home.
Well, 85. Well, we Mets won 98, 99 games, went home. Cardinals won 103.
Quantum TV, that's powerful. Well, Wheeler has the advantage as far as velocity, but Pfister has the advantage in the ballgame. Pfister's thrown only 31 pitches over the first 3 innings. And he's got himself a 3-0 lead as he goes back to the mound for the bottom of the 4th.
Oh, how cute.
Keep the youngster dry. It's a chill, misty night. Temperature 63 degrees. Breeze blowing, rain blowing. And the Mets trying to find some offense against Doug Pfister, who's now worked 17 innings against the Mets this year and not given up an earned run. Juan Lagares is the only Met hit tonight, singled through the hole into left in the opening inning. Lagares, Murphy, and Duda in the home for it. Fister works him inside for ball one. Change up in for a strike, 1-1. Fister working quickly, and Lagares hits it sharply, but on one hop to LaRoche, and he takes it himself for the first out.
LaRoche is an excellent fielding first baseman. Good hands, very sure around the bag, knows how to play the position. Hang with him for Juan. Hit the ball hard twice tonight. Only got one hit to show for it. Can't guide it once it leaves the bat.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Daniel Murphy, who struck out on 3 pitches his first time up, lifts one to left, and over toward the line comes Harper. And quickly there are 2 out. Lucas Duda coming up, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, Lucas Duda's slumping right now. Coming into tonight, his last 16 games, hitting just 190 with 1 home run during that time. And, I was talking with Lucas Duda a little bit about it beforehand, and he was saying, the league, they've adjusted to me, and this is an important plateau, a point in my career where I can adjust back. He's noticed over these last 16 games that pitchers are trying to get him to expand the zone by pitching him just off the plate outside. And right now, he's not doing himself any favors by swinging at those pitches. So Duda trying to do a good job right now at getting more disciplined, laying off of those outside pitches, and getting himself better pitches to hit here.
Staying dry up there, Steve?
Staying really dry, and I got a couple of friends that are joining me right now.
I see you down there. You're down the right field line, correct?
There you go.
And you're undercover.
I am undercover. I am undercover.
We got this covered.
I was incognito.
He's got people who want to get on the air there. Everybody wants to be part of the act.
I hear you. It's interesting what Lucas said to Steve, and you don't want Lucas to lose his aggressiveness. Okay, I got to lay off the outside pitch, but don't become defensive. Stay offensive at the plate.
Well, he's worked so hard to be more aggressive this year.
Yep.
Last year got paralyzed at times. He draws a walk here, and the Mets have a 2-out base runner. But it's been one of the big differences in Lucas this year, especially in those RBI situations. The ability to recognize the pitch he can hit early in the bat and attack. You don't want it to get away from him.
Well, I always felt that against a right-hander, I could, a left-hand hitter, where I stood in the plate, I could cover the whole entire plate if it was a fastball. The only one I'd like to lay off of would be the up-and-in fastball. That was the one you had to discipline yourself to take. That's the toughest pitch to hit, where they crowd you up in the letters. Inside.
Darno grounded out his first time up, and he pops this one up on the infield. Who's going to take it? It's going to be the shortstop Desmond to call, and that retires the side. So a walk and 1 left. Fister stymieing the Mets again. 3-0 Nats after 4. dealer. Final game of the series tomorrow afternoon on SNY at 1 o'clock. Then the Marlins are in for 3 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights. Then the Mets make their final road trip of the year, 3 in Atlanta starting on Friday, and then 3 in Washington. And then the Mets come home to play 3 with the Astros, and then poof until 2015.
That's it.
Most popular way to follow September baseball is with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, replay reviews, scores, live radio broadcasts, the MLB.TV game of the day, and more. Get at bat for your smartphone or tablet on the App Store, or visit MLB.com. Mist has been falling since the start of matters tonight.
Rained pretty hard this afternoon, in the mid-afternoon. Pushed through pretty quickly.
When you play in a misting rain like this, what's the hardest part about playing in this weather?
Keeping your hands dry when you're hitting. Make sure your pine tar is there. Keep your helmet dry. You don't want any of the drops to drip over the bill of your cap when you're up at the plate. In the field, just keep your spikes. You get the tongue depressors. Don't let the dirt cake around your cleats, so you have good movement on the field. Because today they cover it. The field's not wet. I mean, it's a little wet, but they're so far ahead today in the grounds crews. They do a terrific job here.
Well, the field's all drained so much better, but I would imagine the dirt is a lot more of a concern than the grass now. Span is 0 for 2. He's grounded out and flied out. I mean, it used to be that with, say, at Shea Stadium, where you got a half an inch of rain in the outfield, those puddles would last forever. Now that water goes right through and into the drainage system below. And Wheeler behind on Span, 3-0. So Zach, who has not had an easy inning yet, now up to 90 pitches with nobody out in the 5th. There's a strike. These last few weeks of the season, the Mets have been pretty much capping their starting pitchers at 100 instead of going 110 or 115. Wheeler's thrown as many as 120 this year. He did that against the Cubs in mid-August. And he walks Span to start the 5th. That's 4 straight innings now that the Nationals have had the leadoff man on, and that makes every pitcher's life difficult. Second walk of the night, and that gets Dan Warthen on the phone to get somebody up in the bullpen. And Anthony Rendon, a guy the Mets just have not been able to get out, comes up for the 3rd time. 2 for 2 today, 8 for 12 with a double and 2 home runs in the series. Ronnie was doing the game last night and watching Rendon and dropped the name Paul Molitor to talk about how quiet and quick his bat is.
Yeah, similarities, same type of build too. Molitor wasn't a big guy. Beautiful swing.
Well, Zach Wheeler generally has trouble getting ahead. He's 55% of the time throwing a first pitch strike, and he's been right in that same neighborhood again tonight. And behind here on Rendon, 2-0 with Jason Worth on deck. 2-0 curveball in for a strike. Well, Gonzalez Herman will be the first man up in the Mets bullpen, which means, at least for the moment, we don't have to figure out how to say happy birthday in Japanese. Somebody just texted me the phonetic pronunciation, and it's about 24 syllables. So forget. I mean, I'm not very good with foreign languages anyway. But Japanese has got to be almost impossible for a non-native speaker to learn. Span almost leaning the wrong way. Stole his 30th base of the year last night. Span and Rendon between them have scored 197 runs this year. There goes Span. Pitch outside. Darno's throw on a hop is not in time. Number 31 for Span.
Well, this is a team that can beat you so many ways, and it's on display tonight. They steal bases as well, hit with power. They're a pretty well-rounded offensive squad.
So Span, who has scored 90 runs this year, is at second with nobody out. Rendon, who scored 107 to lead the National League, at the plate. And it probably goes without saying that's the most runs scored for any 1-2 tandem in the major leagues. And you've seen Darno's throwing numbers that just keep getting worse and worse. And that's going to be a major area of concentration, I'm sure, for Travis going into the offseason and heading into spring training next year, is to work on his throwing mechanics. And I wonder how much of that is just the length of the season. And as Rendon lifts one over to right, over toward the line, Granderson, and out of play. You know, you're playing every day as a catcher. There's only so much time that you can devote to working on that kind of thing, throwing mechanics.
That's what the offseason will entail. You don't want to wear your catchers out. They got to squat. The game today is like extended spring training. Sometimes I see the people out here. It's a long season, and you got to reserve your strength to play 162 games. Sir as heck is not going to waste any ounce of energy at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a daily basis.
Wheeler handles the comebacker, throws behind Span, and he gets back safely. And everybody is safe. Well, Wheeler had a good idea because Span had gotten well off the bag, but he was quick enough to beat the throw back. And Terry Collins is going to come out and think about a challenge.
Well, it's a comebacker. He looks to run it back. Took a little long getting rid of the ball. He may have got back. Let's see. He did. He's safe.
Yeah, unquestionably.
He had him, but he wound up throwing like his motion. He didn't get rid of it fast enough. He had him dead to rights.
So it'll be a fielder's choice, allowing Rendon to reach. Span safe at second, first and second, and nobody out, and Jason Worth coming up, and the Nats with a chance to break this game open. Meanwhile, Wheeler about to throw his 100th pitch with nobody out in the 5th inning.
Yeah, this has really been a labor for Zach.
He got Worth to hit into a double play his last time up. He could use another.
Just got back. See the left hand there, clearly safe.
And Worth hits one through the hole, a base hit. Span to third. He's going to be waved home against Granderson's arm. The throw goes to third. Murphy with the tag, but he lost the ball. And into second goes Worth. It's an RBI single for Jason Worth, bringing Span home to make it 4-0 Washington.
Well, you know what? That is just terrific hitting and also base running on Worth's part. Look at that big hole. And he was clearly looking away, and no home run swing intent at all. Just an RBI single. Forget getting Span. He runs too well. The throw to third is on target, but I think he still would have beat it. Overthrows the cutoff man. Now, as your base runner, he might have been out because he was a poor slide. Look at it. Watch his feet come off the bag. He would have been out. That's a terrible slide.
Now that's going to be all for Wheeler. He's going to leave the game after 4 innings plus having allowed 4 runs and 7 hits and having already thrown 100 pitches. He'll exit. And Gonzalez Herman called to the bullpen, brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's. 4-0 Nats in the 5th. We'll be right back. Close play.
Why is his foot not going directly to the bag? His front foot. Look at this. What is he doing? The closest distance between point A and point B is a straight line. And he would have been out. And there's Gonzalez Herman, was recalled and has had a couple outings here.
Pitched a good inning on Thursday, a 1-2-3 inning. Infield comes in now for Adam LaRoche, second and third and nobody out. Mets already down 4-0 in this game. Zach Wheeler chased after 4 innings plus, 7 hits, 4 runs so far, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a home run. Just a bad outing for Zach. Pitching in the rain at Citi Field. And now Herman will try and pick him up against LaRoche, who's flied out and struck out tonight. And change up in for a strike, 1-1. Been a rough year for Herman. Had some good outings early in the year, up and down a couple of times between New York and Vegas. Had a virus that knocked him out of action for about a month when he was down in the minors. Came back, got beat up, went back down to the minors, got beat up some more. But a September call-up and trying to make an impression here in the season's last month. Up and in 2-1. And over the course of this season, with the emergence of Mejia and Familia and Black and Edgin and Torres, kind of passed Herman by.
Well, it's been a disappointing year for Gonzalez. The numbers are ERA over 5. It's been a tough year for him.
Good fastball up and into LaRoche, 2-2. And in some of his earlier trips to the big leagues, he's forgotten about that fastball.
He's basically a 2-pitch pitcher, hasn't got a breaking ball, and it gets around. Fastball, changeup pitcher, make him get the changeup.
Sails the changeup, and it's 3-2. Ian Desmond waits on deck. 3-2 coming. And a check swing. He went around, strike 3. LaRoche is struck out.
No, he thinks he's
Third base umpire Paul Emmel gave the third strike call, but LaRoche I don't think saw it. And now he'll go back to the dugout.
Well,
so that's the first out of the inning as Herman comes in to strike out LaRoche. Infield will stay in now with Ian Desmond, the batter. Desmond has walked, had an infield hit, stolen a base, and scored 2 runs already tonight. And he rockets one foul into the umbrella. I think the umbrella was a good shield.
yeah. But that umbrella can be a false comfort right there. Especially that one.
Now, that umbrella may not be as functional as it was, but at least he's intact. Lined into center, that's a base hit. Rendon scores, Worth right behind him. A 2-run single for Ian Desmond, and the Nats have now broken this game open. 6-0 Washington in the 5th.
All runs now charged to Zach Wheeler. His book is closed. All 6 runs are charged to Zach. This is just good hitting by a ball club here that's not playing. It hits home runs and just saying, you know what, we're getting base hits. And look at Lagares has to go to his right. Worth runs too well. Look at him cut the base there. Look at that turn.
So 2 pitches to Desmond. The first one broke an umbrella. The second one breaks the Mets back.
Well, it certainly puts him behind the 8 ball.
So Wheeler goes 4 innings plus, allows 6 runs and 7 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Now Bryce Harper, the runner goes, a huge jump for Desmond, and he steals his second base of the night.
Everybody's feeling this is just a schooling here.
Darno had no chance on that one. He got an enormous jump against Herman, who paid him no mind.
Well, it's not. I shouldn't say schooling is the wrong word. This is just a team flexing its muscles, showing its might in every aspect.
It's one of the better throws Darno's made lately, but on a play where he had no chance. Harper delivered the initial blow tonight, a 2-run homer in the second inning up in the Pepsi porch, his 13th of the year. And the Nats just kept on pouring it on. The changeup is not going where Herman wants it to right now. 2-0 to Harper with Asdrubal Cabrera on deck. Would it be grasping at straws to say this is not yet an official game?
It'd be grasping at straws. You'd be correct.
And Herman just all over the place right now. Behind on Harper, 3-0. And Desmond with that 2-run single now is 85 runs batted in. 6th in the National League in RBIs in a year that, you know, you look at Desmond's overall numbers and you say, well, it's been kind of a disappointing year. Well, he has been right there driving in runs.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, you got to throw strikes.
4-pitch walk to Harper. So now 2 on and 1 out, and Cabrera coming up. Cabrera was the one guy Wheeler was able to control tonight, had him up twice and struck him out both times. By the way, Wheeler's ERA with tonight's outing goes up from 3.38 to 3.61.
Well, he's got 2 starts left. You know, sometimes you go out there, you got it, and sometimes you go out there, you don't. And Zach's had a nice run for the last 14 starts. Just didn't have it tonight.
Next outing will be back home in Atlanta. And Cabrera takes ball 1. And Daniel Murphy is going to run over to the mound and see if he can be of some comfort. Hey, buddy, it's raining. Throw a strike. Desmond at second, Harper at first, and Cabrera pops one foul, 1-1. In the National League Central tonight, Pittsburgh begins the night 2.5 games behind St. Louis. Pirates are up 3-0 on Pittsburgh behind Javier Baez's home run, second in 2 nights for Baez. He now has 9. Cardinals up 4-1 on the Rockies. They're in the 5th. Matt Holliday and Matt Carpenter with home runs. The Brewers led for such a long time. They're trying to rebound. They've won 3 straight, but they're down 2-1 to Cincinnati in the 4th. And it's the Pirates who are putting pressure on St. Louis. Pittsburgh also has the second wild card with Milwaukee a game and a half back. 2-1 to Asdrubal Cabrera. And another changeup misses, and he is not able to throw that pitch for a strike right now. And if he can't throw that changeup for a strike, he's got some trouble.
Well, he's going to walk the bases loaded here. He's got to come down the pipe with something, and he's put himself behind the 8 ball.
Cabrera 0 for 9 in this series, looking to break that. He's got a 3-1 count, and he bounces one foul. Full count.
Cabrera's got a long swing. I know he had some success at Cleveland, but he's got a long swing. He's going to have difficulty.
Desmond at second, Harper at first, and 1 out. 3-2 to Cabrera. You got the number 8 hitter Lobaton on deck. Nats have scored 3 in the 5th inning.
You've got a pitcher out there who can't get his changeup over, and he's 3-2. Doesn't want to walk the bases loaded on a full count. I mean, this is a pitch to hit.
And Cabrera takes inside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So Herman came in, struck out LaRoche, but then gave up a 2-run hit to Desmond, and now he's walked Harper and Cabrera back to back, throwing significant petrol on this conflagration. And now the base is loaded with 1 out, and the 8th man to bat in the inning, Jose Lobaton, will be coming up. And Dan Wortham looks a little perturbed. Message sent. It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Corey, and the gang from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. Jose Lobaton has hit the ball very hard twice tonight, singled to right and then lined out to right. He's got the bases loaded, 1 out. Desmond at third, Harper at second, and Cabrera at first. 3 runs already home in the inning for Washington. And Lobaton takes low and in, ball 1. So Gonzalez Herman just unable to stem the bleeding, and the Mets are going to get another arm up behind him. That's Buddy Carlisle in the Mets bullpen. Another rocket off Lobaton's back, goes foul. If you're a position player in this situation and you're standing out there, the wind's blowing, the rain's blowing around, your pitcher's not throwing a strike. There's that last foul ball knocking the hat right off that guy's head.
Oh my gosh.
Better his hat than his head.
It grazed him.
He's okay. Lobaton pops one up in foul ground, and Murphy over for a look, but it's out of play. How do you keep yourself ready out there in an inning like this?
Well, you have to be professional. You're angry at the pitcher when you want him to throw strikes. You know, you're sitting there and you're on your heels. I guarantee you they're on their heels. So the ground ball that they might get to, that they miss by a foot, you know, normally they would get to it. You got to throw strikes.
I mean, they've been out there for 34 pitches already this inning, plus a pitching change. Still only 1 out. 1-2 to Lobaton with the pitcher Pfister on deck. And he struck him out with a fastball. So Herman has his second strikeout in this 5th inning. And now a chance to get through it without any further damage with Pfister coming up. Fister's fouled out trying to bunt and grounded out 0 for 2. Just 3 for 45 on the season. Batting here with the bases loaded and 2 down. Ninth man up in the inning. Denard Span, who began the inning with a walk, now on deck.
Just can't come in with runners on base and give up 2 walks, and the base hit's fine, but the walks are inexcusable. Wow.
Fister swings over the changeup. 1-2. And that'll do it. 3 strikeouts in the inning for her men, but the Nats score 3. We're halfway through at Citi Field. 6-0. Craig Ferguson, and it premieres September 22nd right here on Pix 11. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. It's been all Nats tonight, but there has been better news in the Mets organization in the last 24 hours, and Steve Gelbs will fill us in.
Yeah, Gary, I know you guys talked about it a lot on the broadcast last night, but Steven Matz almost pitching a no-hitter for the Binghamton Mets as they won their Eastern League championship. And for really Steven Matz, this has completed a second straight stellar year in the minor leagues. This one split between High A ball, Port St. Lucie, and Double A in Binghamton. I was speaking with Assistant General Manager John Ricco today about Steven Matz, and he said the team's not surprised by this. Obviously, they knew he had this talent. He's a second-round pick years ago, but they really were pleasantly, I guess surprised isn't the word, but happy with how he continued to dominate at each level that he ticked up the organizational ladder, and it really has become now a case of when, not if, he makes an impact at the major league level. And I asked John Ricco point blank, I said, could you envision him out of spring training next year being on the major league roster? He said probably not, more so because of the fact that they have so much pitching depth already at the major leagues, but the way he's pitching, quote, don't count him out.
Well, he's only 23, and remember that he missed really 3 years. He was drafted, Matz was, out of high school on Long Island in 2009. Didn't pitch at all in 2009 or 2010 or 2011. Made just 6 starts in 2012. So he's really only 2 or so years into his professional career out of high school, even though he's 23. Granderson drives one to center, chasing Span way back, and Span won't get there. Granderson's got an extra base hit. Just the Mets' second hit of the night against Doug Fister, a leadoff double in the home fifth.
Well, you got a big lead. I know that this outfield likes to play shallow, but when you've got a big lead, you just might want to back up around 5 feet. You know, and then you get to this ball. It really was a fly ball. It didn't even hit the track.
Now Wilmer Flores, who grounded into a double play his first time up. So the Mets trying to break through against Fister, who has thrown 18 innings against the Mets this year without allowing an earned run. And Flores drives one to deep left field. Harper back near the wall. It's out of here. Wilmer Flores snaps an 0 for 21 with his 4th home run of the year, a 2-run shot to get the Mets on the board. So Granderson a double, Flores a 2-run homer, and the Mets have some life as they finally score against Doug Fister. It's 6-2 Washington.
Well, you've got to wonder if that long inning, that Fister had to sit, and he came out a little rusty, lost a little rhythm. But all in all, Flores, you can't take anything away from him.
It's not often that you get the car wash in the rain.
I wouldn't recommend it. Well, here's the pitch. Wants to come in. I tell you what, Flores can turn on that inside pitch. He's shown that up here so far when he's had a chance to play every day. And of course, in the old ballpark, that would have been not even off the wall, Gary. That was the Great Wall of Flushing, as you called it.
How he invented that. Rendon throws out Herrera for the first out of the inning. One of the Mets' first runs of the game brought to you by the New York Lottery. Hey, you never know.
Hey, what?
Well, the Mets were down 6-0.
Startled me.
Now it's 6-2. You never know. You never know.
Don't startle me.
And when you never know, you never know, you know. Here's Bobby Abreu to bat for Gonzalez Herman. Abreu came back to the Mets when the rosters expanded in September. He came back with an 0 for 22 stretch as a pinch hitter, but then in his first at bat back in the big leagues, got a pinch hit single against the Nats on Thursday night. Abreu has seen plenty of Fister, but he's just 3 for 16 in his career against him. Ball and a strike. Back to center field. This one should be easy for Span. And that's the second out. So Fister bouncing back to get the next 2 after the Flores 2-run homer. Now 2 out and nobody on for Eric Young. EY, after 3 straight multiple hit games, has gone 0 for 2 tonight. A couple of ground ball outs. Matt Dendecker, by the way, who had been playing most of the left field over the last month for the Mets, still not available to do anything but pinch run. Dendecker got hit on the wrist by a pitch earlier in the week, and Terry Collins said he's going to go back and see the doctor because he still can't grip a bat, still can't grip a ball to throw.
Oh, he got hit pretty good. Like I've always said, and the school of Ron Hunt, you just put ice on it 24 hours. And that'll work wonders on the swelling.
Cabrera plays the chopper, throws out Young. Side retired, but the Mets get on the board. Wilmer Flores Snaps out of a slump with a long ball. Granderson with a double to get things started, and then Flores with his 4th home run of the year. 6-2 Washington. Official game now as we go to the 6th. Atlanta to take on the Braves. That's next Saturday at 7 p.m. The Mets and the Braves, right here on New York's own Pix 11. A rainy, windy night. Cool as we move toward the beginning of autumn in just a week.
Beautiful little girls there watching baseball on a rainy night with their raincoats.
Buddy Carlisle will be the 3rd Met pitcher of the night.
Well, Buddy, I tell you what, I just like what he's done for this ball club this year. His ERA, despite the ERA, I mean, look at it, it's 185. It's outstanding. He comes in here and he's got a rubber arm, throws hard, he throws strikes, he works fast, gets the job done.
Well, it had been several years since Buddy had a big league opportunity, and he's gotten a full opportunity here and really taken advantage of it at age 36.
Oh, that's right. It's a weekend and it's fireworks night. Ah, okay.
4th time around the batting order for the Nationals, who batted around in the 5th and scored 3 runs. Denard Span got that inning started with a walk and a stolen base, and then significantly was able to scramble back into second base on a comebacker to Wheeler. Wheeler threw behind him, and Span got back, and that set the wheels in motion for a big inning. Change up to start him off, 0-1. Span, Rendon, and Worth against Carlisle in the 6th after Wheeler lasted just 4 innings plus and allowed 6 runs and 7 hits. Gonzalez Herman didn't help, gave up a couple of inherited runs. Slowly hit. Herrera's going to have to charge against the speed of Span. He throws it away.
I'm not so sure it was thrown away. Let's take another look at it, and I think the throw was on target. We'll find out. Nothing wrong with that throw.
Oh, it went off Duda's glove.
Should be an E. It should be an E3.
They're going to score that a base hit for Span. I'm not sure why in the world they would.
That's got to be a E3.
I mean, he was going to be out by a significant margin.
It's a nice play by Herrera.
So 9 hits now for the Nats, and Span will take the gift. His 172nd hit of the year, 2nd in the league. He's already got a stolen base tonight, his 31st. Anthony Rendon is 2 for 3. Rendon hit the comebacker that turned into a fielder's choice in the 5th after base hits his first 2 times up. Rendon 8 for 13 in this series. Takes a big rip at a fastball, 0-1. Rendon hits a rocket into right center for a base hit. Span will go to second and takes a turn as Lagares bobbles it and then goes on to third.
Well, that's got to be an error now because he stopped, correct?
Well, Lagares a couple of times now in this series has gotten very loose fielding base hits, and that's going to be an error, his second of the series.
Look at that hitting. Look at that. Inner half of the plate down, going up the middle, and driving the ball into right center field. Line drive. That's hitting. And Lagares missed it, obviously. And watch Span, and what makes it an error? Span had to hold, and then they respect the arm of Lagares, and he sees the bobble. Because he stopped, they're going to roll that an E8 correctly. Juan made an error yesterday, did he not?
He did indeed on a very similar play on a ball hit by Bryce Harper. So, first and third and nobody out, and the Nats with a chance to add on to this 6-0 lead. 3 hits tonight for Rendon, his third consecutive 3-hit game in this series. And Worth takes a slider off the plate from Carlisle. Worth had a base hit to drive in a run against Wheeler in the 5th. That was his last batter. Lagares, that's his third error in the last 7 games. He had one in Cincinnati on a throw to the plate that was more of an iffy thing, but these two just lack of attention to detail. It's been a Gold Glove caliber year for Lagares. You'd hate to see him ruin it in September. It's fouled back just in front of us. He's been so good in so many ways defensively, but
it's a wet track. So you really have to be a little more, cautious. He couldn't use 2 hands there. He's on the run, moving laterally to his left. But it's much more difficult for the outfielders, and the ball's on the ground on wet grass because the ball tends to skip.
Worth stopped the swing in time. Earl, Lester, Carlisle.
That sounds like a very southern name, doesn't it?
To you and me, buddy.
Earl Lester.
Nice grab. Go home wet but happy. Got himself a souvenir. Two coming, and Worth nubs one down to first. Duda goes to second with it. Return with Carlisle covering. Hits Worth and goes down the line. He'll go to second. A run is home, and it's 7-0 Washington. Now, Duda had the option of coming home on the first and third grounder, opted to go to second and got an out there, but the return throw by Flores was well offline and hit Worth.
Lucas has to go home here, Garrett, because there's no outs. And the runner broke. You get your 6-2 ball game. You fought to within 4 runs, excuse me. You got to get to play at the plate.
So 7-2 Washington. It'll be an RBI for Worth. E6 allowing Worth go to second.
Well, it's the third error of the Mets this game. See, he's got him at the plate. Or does he?
Well, he had Span running, which I think is the only mitigating factor. LaRoche pops one up, and Eric Young waiting for it. That's the second out, and Worth holds at second.
But my point is, when you've got to play at the plate and you've got a fast runner on third base, Gary, and that ground ball, you don't lay back and let the ball come to you. You got to come in hard and get it. Cut the distance down on not only your throw, but on the distance on the ground ball in seconds, precious seconds. You can't just sit there and wait. So those are things that Lucas needs to learn. That's all.
So 2 out, and now Ian Desmond, who's 2 for 2 in a walk. He's stolen 2 bases. He's scored 2 runs. He's driven in 2 runs. And takes a fastball from Carlisle for a strike.
This has really been an ugly game for the Mets.
About the only good news. Looks like it stopped raining.
Yes, that's a point.
It's a point.
Noted.
We've been looking for silver linings all night. Slider by Carlisle, and he gets ahead on Desmond 0-2. One and two to Desmond. Bryce Harper would be next. Nationals trying for their 84th win tonight, and if they get it, they'll reduce their magic number to 6 for clinching the National League East. 2 years ago, they won 98 games en route to an Eastern Division title under Davey Johnson. Now Matt Williams in his first season trying to get one of his own.
Which would be kind of a nice feather in your cap, huh? Your rookie year, you lead your team to a division title. Who looks like he's got that under his belt.
There's been a lot of conversation recently about who deserves to win Manager of the Year in the National League, and I don't think there are any candidates that stand out above all the others.
No, I agree.
I mean, Mike Matheny has had to wade through a lot of trouble in St. Louis. Mike Redmond has helped take a Marlins team from last place to close to 500.
So's Clint Hurdle had to wade through some stuff. That club was not etched in stone.
I mean, for a long time it looked like Ron Renicky might get it because Milwaukee was overperforming, but that certainly has melted over the last month. The thing about Williams is his team was expected to win, much as they were expected to win last year and didn't. Usually the Manager of the Year goes to the team that has outperformed expectations as opposed to lived up to them. Matt was a tremendous player during his career. Great home run hitter. And a Gold Glover at third base. 2-2 to Desmond. Little nubber. Duda will play it. Carlisle covers. Side retired, but 2 errors in the inning lead to a run. And the Nats tack one on and lead 7-2 in the middle of the 6th. Night for the Mets. 3 errors, not the 2 that you see there. 2 looks better than 3, but it is 3. And a 7-2 Washington lead as we go to the bottom of the 6th. And there it is, updated as we speak.
They're quick.
That is magic. That's TD Bank magic right there.
That's quickness.
Juan Lagares will lead off in the home 6th inning against Doug Fister, who got 7 runs of support each of his first 2 starts against the Mets this year, and here he is again. 7 runs, and Lagares has his 2nd hit of the night.
Juan starting to pull the ball a little bit. I like it.
So Lagares attacking first pitch, his 4th hit in this series, his 2nd in this game.
This little hanging, this little cutter, ripped, nicely done.
So the Mets have their 4th hit of the night. Daniel Murphy will step in. Murphy struck out and flied out 0 for 2. And right to the shortstop, Desmond, but he drops it and everybody's safe. Well, maybe it's contagious. Ian Desmond with a routine double play ball. All he had to do was pick it up and take it to the bag, but he left it behind.
Oh, let's see what happened to him here. Got in front nicely. Oh, he just, watch this, hits his glove, doesn't ever. He was going to flip it to the second baseman, Gare, on the exchange. I bet you he got caught in between there, not sure which way he was going to go with it.
So the Nats commit their first error of the night. These teams have now combined for 9 errors in this series. 6 by the Mets, 3 by the Nats. So 2 men aboard. Lucas Duda is flied out and walked. So Fister has a bit of a situation to work with. Lagares at 2nd, Murphy at 1st, and nobody out. Mets got 2 runs in the 5th on Flores' home run. Now they got their best home run bat at the plate. And Duda smacks one the other way, but foul. 1-1. Well, the big game in the NL West is underway, and the Dodgers off to a fast start against Tim Hudson and the Giants. They've scored 3 runs in the top of the 1st and still batting after the Giants won last night.
Well, they got 2 outs, runners on 1st and 2nd, it looks like right now. And that's a lot of baseball left in that game.
Dodgers have Zach Greinke going tonight.
Got Buster Posey's been red hot. You've got Hunter Pence is just having a terrific year. What's he lead the league in hits and runs, Hunter Pence? Let me see.
Put up big numbers this year.
He's leading in hits with 176 coming in, Gary. 2nd in runs with 103. Rendon has 107 to lead the National League.
By the way, that error by Ian Desmond is 23rd error of the year, most of any shortstop in the majors, and 2nd overall in the major leagues. Only Pedro Alvarez of the Pirates has more. And Alvarez was so bad they took him off 3rd base.
Gary Templeton's rookie year, me at 1st base, made 40, I believe 44 errors.
And how many did you save?
I saved him around 17. I'm not exaggerating because his throws. He had the greatest arm of any shortstop I had. Better arm. Only one that was close, might have been equal, was Sean Dunston.
Right. Tulowitzki close?
No.
3-2 to Duda with Travis d'Arnaud on deck. Lagares at 2nd, Murphy at 1st, and nobody out. By the way, the Dodgers just added another one. 4-0 LA, still batting in the top of the 1st. Hudson really taking it on the chin. And the curveball in there, strike 3 call.
What a pitch.
Fister surprised Duda with a 3-2 hook.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's the first over the top drop, we used to call it, 12-6 curveball. And he puts the hammer. I see it. Oh, it missed. Lucas has got a gripe.
Milwaukee rings it up, but it did appear to go around the plate. 2nd strikeout for Fister, who had a season-high 7 against the Mets earlier this year. So now d'Arnaud with 2 on and 1 out. Travis has grounded out and popped up 0 for 2. And he swings at that breaking ball and misses. 0-1.
Big cut by Travis. I like this. A young player. He's looking to go hit a 2-run shot here, make it 7-3. Took a big cut. 7-5. What am I thinking? So good idea by d'Arnaud. That's the point. So don't listen to me.
He hits one in the air, but not all that deep. And Harper has room for the second out. So he took a shot and he came up short. Now 2 out and 2 on, and Granderson coming up.
Well, d'Arnaud is on his way as Granderson steps up to the plate. One for one on the evening. Hit by pitch and a double.
He went over the head of Span for that 2-base hit in the 5th, right in front of Flores' 2-run homer. Fister goes back to that slow curve and misses for ball 1. Wilmer Flores would be next. Lagares began the inning with a hit. The Mets got a break when Desmond bobbled a double play ball, but Fister has retired the next 2. 1-1 to Granderson. And the curveball misses. 2-1. Doug Fister bidding for his 14th win of the year. And Granderson pulls one. LaRoche can't make the play. It bounces off the sidewall. Lagares scores. Murphy to third. Granderson will hold at first with an RBI single. And it's now 7-3 Washington. Well, LaRoche laying out. Got a piece of it, but couldn't secure it. And Granderson has his second hit of the night.
Wonder if the bag came into play here. It almost hits the bag. No, kind of scooted, didn't it? He's got it covered. Oh, he didn't keep his glove open. Watch him. Oh, Danny. Tom got in the way there.
Well, that'll be an unearned run, allowing the Mets to creep closer. Now 1st and 3rd and 2 out for Flores, who hit a 2-run homer his last time up, snapping an 0 for 21 skid.
Watch his glove collapse instead of keeping his glove open. He collapses the glove. That's why he missed it.
Hard to catch the ball when your glove is closed.
Yes. Well, Flores is not going to get right now an inside fastball. There's the glove being closed. See, the ball's not even there yet. So he closed the glove too quickly.
Flores fouling off the sinker, and Fister ahead 1-2. Greg Stammen gets to work in the Washington bullpen.
Solid sinker slider pitcher. Stammen pitched well the first game in relief.
Murphy at third, Granderson at first with 2 out. And Flores watches outside, 2-2.
Every pitch has been away from Flores. He doesn't want to give up the bomb. 3-run shot here. It's, you get it right, 7-6.
Good call. Josh edging up in the Mets bullpen. And Flores wastes that curveball. Flores has had a better measure of Fister than any other Met. With his home run in the 5th inning, he now has 5 hits and 8 career at bats against Fister.
Well, the Mets have scored the most runs off Fister than they have in the first 2 starts.
2-2 coming to Flores. And he got him. Side retired. Third strikeout for Pfister. The Mets settle for one unearned run in the bottom of the sixth. (7-3) Washington. With the Mariners and the A's separated now by just a half game in the AL wildcard race. The Dodgers got 4 in the first, 6 hits and 2 misplays by Angel Pagan, helping the Dodgers to a 4-0 lead against Tim Hudson in the first, and Matt Holliday and Matt Carpenter have both homered for the Cardinals. They lead the Rockies 5-1 in the 7th. Bryce Harper leads off in the 7th inning. And Harper hits a rocket through the hole for a base hit. How many hard hit balls by the Nationals tonight? That's Harper's 3rd hit of the game.
That is their 10th hit of the 11th hit of the Juego, and there's been nothing but líneas, as they say in Espanol. He's a big swinger. He doesn't get cheated.
They have just taken a hit away from the Nationals.
Which one was that?
The ball that Span hit in the 6th inning.
Yes.
Herrera made that nice throw, and
yes.
Duda didn't catch it.
Error.
Yeah, but they gave the error to Herrera on the throw.
Well,
That was just announced by the official scorer, so I think they went from one mistake to a second one.
The Mets made 3 errors.
3 errors in that inning, and now 4 for the night.
Ruined my scorecard.
Sorry.
Who was it? Howie Carpenter?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's Jordan Spreckman tonight.
Jordan, come on. Don't be wishy-washy.
Well, he obviously had to have looked at a replay.
Yeah,
but
I just think Lucas got to make that play.
Yeah. Well, if it hits your glove, right? Anyway, Cabrera is 0 for 2 and a walk. And he takes it upstairs from Carlisle. Here's that play again.
Now, Herrera's got to throw it with some zest on it, some zip. Lucas is just slow getting the glove there. It's not a bad throw.
But it's Herrera who gets charged with the error. So the Mets with a 3 errors 6th inning.
It's got to be an error on Lucas.
Jose Lobaton hitting 8th in the order, waiting on deck. The Nationals have led this game since the 2nd when Harper hit a 2-run homer. They went up 6-0. Mets cut it to 6-2, then 7-2, then 7-3. And foul ground. Murphy with a long run, but he'll run out of room. 2-2. Well, the Angels tonight are going for their 10th straight win.
Wow, are they just on a complete roll.
Mike Trout with a first inning home run, his 33rd, and the Angels are up 1-0 on Houston in the second. Their magic number is down to 5 for clinching the American League West. What an enormous turnaround in that division. Oakland was ahead by as many as what, 8 games, and now they're 11 behind.
Made the one trade, right? Cespedes, and that did not pan out.
Well, that's certainly a huge piece. Their offense has gone to sleep.
Well, you know, hindsight's 20/20.
Oakland in Seattle and facing Felix Hernandez tonight. No score in the second in that game. Buddy Carlisle working his second inning. Got charged with an unearned run in the 6th. There goes Harper. Cabrera hits it out to center, and Lagares has an easy play. And Harper retreats. 1 out.
Boy, the Nationals are just got the pedal to the metal. They're attempting to steal bases. They've already got 2 tonight, both by Desmond.
Now it's Jose Lobaton, who's 1 for 3 tonight, had a base hit back in the second.
3 stolen bases, excuse me. Span got a stolen base, correct?
Right, and Desmond has 2. And Lobaton takes a strike. Zach Wheeler was charged with the first 6 runs on 7 hits. Well, that's an interesting sight in the 7th inning. Alfonso Soriano, Rafael Soriano, the former closer for the Nationals, getting up.
He has lost his job. I'll say one thing about Matt Williams. He's no nonsense. He's not afraid to let everybody know he's in charge.
Bruce Storen has taken over the closer's role and done a great job with it since regaining that nod.
You know, when you're a manager, it's kind of like parenting. You know, you're not your kid's best friend. You know, it's tough love.
No, I mean, baseball is a meritocracy. If you do the job, then you stay in that job. If you don't do the job, they find somebody else to do the job. Toward the hole, and Lobaton's got another hit.
Wow.
Harper will go first to third. So Jose Lobaton has his second hit of the night, and the Nats just keep on ringing him up.
And this is just great situational hitting that we're seeing from Washington tonight, which we don't see anymore. Not very often. The easiest ball to pull, Gary, is that ball away when you're a left-hand hitter. Just roll that top hand over, and there you go. You set up a first and third, less than 2 outs. You had a sacrifice fly. You've made it 8-3, and really kind of dashed. You keep dashing the hopes of the Mets trying to come back in this game. It's just situational hitting.
Doug Fister is going to leave. Nate Scherholtz is going to bat for him. So Fister is done after 6 innings. This is 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 5 hits.
This is the right move because you could really, with a base hit here, just blow this game out of the gym.
Scherholtz got a start last night in right field when Worth got the night off, and Scherholtz went 2 for 4. Got released by the Cubs earlier this year. Was having a very poor season. And the Nats, badly needing a left-handed bat off the bench, picked up Scherholtz and hope that he'll be that guy, that key left-handed pinch hitter come postseason. Scherholtz last year with the Cubs, 21 home runs, 88 runs batted in, and just having a dreadful year. And then all that young talent started coming up for Chicago, and he was expendable. Harper at third, Lobaton at first with 1 out. That's looking for the double play ball. And Scherholtz with the half swing, 0-1. Scherholtz's old team, the Cubs, putting it on the Pirates tonight. 5-0 Chicago in the 7th. Every game of utmost importance to Pittsburgh. Scherholtz gets jammed, and Carlisle's ahead in the count 0-2.
Carlisle going to the breaking ball. They were on his fastball. He's been working a lot of long appearances, doing a lot of extra duty. Kind of another one of those guys that in middle relief, you got to be careful you don't wear him out.
Well, he hasn't pitched in 5 days, so this is the good spot for him to go a little longer. Sherholtz dribbles one out in front of the plate. Runner holds at third. D'Arnaud, close play, got him.
Oh, that's
for
close.
The second out, and we'll see whether Matt Williams is going to challenge that one. Very close play at first. Ball close enough to home plate that Harper stayed put at third base. And D'Arnaud threw it as hard as he could to try and get Sherholtz on a very close play.
Wow,
Sherholtz hit the bag.
He slid off the base. He almost killed himself off the top of it. Watch him slide.
And he's out.
He's out.
It's the right call.
Watch this. Whoa.
Wow.
23 Skidoo.
Rupture your Achilles that way. Now Williams, on instruction from the dugout, heads on back. So that pantomime is over.
Something's got to be done about this. You know that, Gary?
They've got to change.
Something's got to change. It's just silly.
Look, we're all for getting the calls right, but the system is absurd.
Yep.
Anyway, here's Sherholtz with that slide. He really almost hurts himself.
You could really get yourself in big trouble. Wet field. Wet. Don't forget the bags are wet too.
So it's a 2-3 put out. Runners at second and third and 2 out. Terry Collins on his way out to the mound. He's had Josh Edgin throwing in the bullpen. You got the left-hand hitter Span coming up. Terry's yet to make a sign. So the question is, what do you do here? You can bring in the lefty to face Span. You could pitch carefully to him, or you could walk him, but that would bring up Rendon, who's just been creaking in this series.
You want nothing to do with Rendon. Are you kidding?
And so Terry makes up his mind, and he'll take Carlisle out, and he'll bring in the lefty to face Span. Call to the bullpen brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's. 7-3 Nats in the 7th as Edgin comes in. Elbow issues. This will be his second appearance since returning.
Well, he pitched in the second game of the Colorado series, a 1/3 of an inning, got the out, the strikeout of the left-hand hitting Corey Dickerson. Had some elbow issues. Been real tough on left-handers. He's really developed. He kind of dropped his arm angle down a little bit, Gary, on his slider, much like Evelyn. He's got a big sweeping hook, and he's having himself a very nice season.
So Denard Span will come up with Harper at third, Lobaton at second, and 2 out. Span today had a base hit, but it just got taken away from him in a scoring change. So changed that single on his ledger in the 6th to an error.
And that'll be an unearned run now that will be given up to charge to Carlisle.
So Span now officially 0 for 3 in a walk, but 2 runs scored and a stolen base tonight. And a base hit here could change the nature of this game in a hurry. So 1 big out for Edgin to try and get to help out Carlisle. And Span attacks and fouls it off. Span 1 for 6 in his career against Edgin. Final in Philly, the Phillies beat the Marlins again 2-1. So that'll keep the Mets in third place for at least another day. We got a feel for Miami. What a terrible blow to their team.
Yep.
I can only imagine after, staying on the fringes of the wild card race all year, all of a sudden you lose your big guy to a devastating injury, and it'll take a while for them to recover. They'll be in here starting on Monday night. And that ball trickles away from Edgin as he took the return throw. Ball was live. Seen a run score that way in the past. One and one to Bedard Span. And runs inside, 2-1. Edgin is not throwing quite as hard as he was before the elbow problems cropped up. For a long time, Edgin and Dana Eveland were doing a very nice job as the left-handers out of their bullpen, but both struggling with elbow injuries down the stretch, or at least elbow discomfort. Eveland looks like he's going to be shut down for the rest of the year. Meanwhile, Edgin struggling right now, and his ball is not nearly as lively as it was. This will probably be his only batter. Let's keep a right-hander busy in the bullpen with Rendon on deck. Three and one to Span. And he chops one foul. 3-2. Harper at third, Lobaton at second. Three-two coming from Edgin. Grounded down to Duda. And the side retired, so Edgin perseveres and gets the big out to keep the Mets in this game. Seventh inning stretch, 7-3 Washington. Seventh inning, Washington with a 7-3 lead. The Mets came into this series on a bit of a roll. They won 7 of 8, swept the Rockies, but not only have they been out-homered in this series, they've made 7 errors now in the 3 games.
Well, it's been sloppy play tonight. They made the 4 errors tonight, 3 errors in the 1 inning. You got a lot of youth out there. You've got a team that is clearly the cream of the crop in the National League, one of the top 2 teams in the National League. As you look at Rafael Soriano, who has lost his closing role not too long ago on Matt Williams. He blew a game against, who was it, the Braves? Do you recall?
A 3-run lead in the 9th inning.
And that was all that Matt Williams wanted to see. He had it with him, and he's no longer the stop guy. Storen is. Drew Storen.
It's funny, for a large part of the season, Soriano's numbers were actually pretty good, but you watched the games and you saw a guy who was not dominant and not really handling 9th inning situations well, even though he was racking up saves. And then finally it started to catch up with him.
Well, he's always got great stuff, but he can walk the ballpark. He can get in trouble. He's when Davey, reminds me of that commercial Davey Johnson did when he managed the up and coming Mets of the 80s when he did the Rolaids commercial. It'll drive a manager crazy.
Wilson Herrera lays off the slider, 2-2. Kirk Neuenhuis out on deck to pinch hit, and then Eric Young. Well, in his last 6 outings, Soriano's gone 5 2/3 innings, given up 5 earned runs on 12 hits and 2 home runs. It was against the Phillies, by the way.
That's right.
Ben Revere hit the game.
That's
home
right.
run.
Yes.
I mean, when Ben Revere takes you deep with 2 out and 2 strikes in the 9th, that's a problem. By the way, in Pittsburgh, the Cubs now lead 6-0, and Matt Caesar just hit his first major league home run. Jersey kid who made his debut here at Citi Field, had his own big rooting section. Guerrero pops one up, and LaRoche into foul territory to grab it. 1 away. So Soriano gets his first man out. Now Kirk Neuenhuis will pinch hit. Neuenhuis batting for Josh Edgin, who got just the 1 out. Well, Neuenhuis is a pinch hitter this year, 8 for 25. That's a .320 average, and for his career, a .333 hitter as a pinch hitter. And this may be what Kirk's role will be on this team moving forward, as Vic Black gets up in the Mets bullpen. Get to a certain point in your career, and Kirk is now 27. You realize you probably are not going to be an everyday player. If you can be a successful pinch hitter, you still have yourself a thriving career.
You can hang around, make some decent money, more than decent money, and have fun playing the game of baseball.
Such a hard job to be able to sit day after day, get that 1 at bat, often in a big spot, and be productive.
Toughest job in baseball. It's what you don't see, folks, and it's more so when I played, because of the guys come to the ballpark here all the time, is the extra guys always came early and hit early.
Neuenhuis out on strikes, 2 out.
Because they had to stay sharp. Slider down and in. Went fishing.
So Soriano has set down his first 2. And now Eric Young, who had 3 straight multiple hit games coming into tonight, but 3 straight ground ball outs tonight. Jammed on that first one by Soriano. Looks like a good night emerging for the Cardinals in the NL Central. They're up 5-1 on the Rockies going to the 8th. Pirates are getting whipped by the Cubs 6-0 in the 8th, and Milwaukee is down 5-1 to Cincinnati in the 8th.
All of a sudden, Cincinnati's playing a little spoiler role in their division.
Boy, do they look awful.
Oh, they look terrible. They look really bad. But you know what? When you're playing the season out and you're playing against a second division team that's also playing the season out, it's a nothing game and brings out the worst in those teams. When you go and you got something to play for, and you can be a spoiler, and you're playing against teams fighting it out, that get you going.
1-2 to Young. Meanwhile, in the AL Central, Kansas City looking to regain first place tonight. The Royals are up 7-1 on the Red Sox going to the 9th. And the Tigers, who moved into first place last night, are down 4-3 to the Indians in the bottom of the 8th. And look at that. The Dodgers just whipping up on the Giants. 4 in the first and 4 in the second. One hopper fielded by Cabrera. Close play, and Young is out at first to retire the side. So Soriano pitches a 1-2-3, bottom of the 7th. On to the 8th, 7-3 Nats. Seamless connectivity, scoreless game, second inning. Bryce Harper keeps one fair. Into the Pepsi porch, 2-run homer off Zach Wheeler. The beginning of an ugly night for Wheeler, who gave up 6 runs in 4 innings plus. Kirk Neuenhuis, who pinch hit, stays in the game in left field. Vic Black will be the 5th Met pitcher of the night.
Oh, Vic had some neck issues, a disc problem. Missed some time, came back a little bit rusty. But he's having in the 40 games a nice season for himself too. The bullpen has been, after the early part of the season, it got straightened out, and the bullpen's been solid. This has been a team that if you take the lead, the Mets, if they take the lead in the 7th inning, they're in good hands with that bullpen.
Vic's made only 1 appearance since coming back from that disc issue. He gave up a home run to Nolan Arenado Monday night against Colorado, and he hasn't pitched since. It's been a little cool. It's been a little rainy. Fans properly protected from the elements, waiting for the fireworks after the game. Anthony Rendon has had an enormous series, 3 consecutive 3-hit games, 3 singles tonight. So he is 9 for 14 with 2 home runs in the 3 games in this series. Rendon, Worth, and LaRoche for the Braves in the 8th. For the Nats in the 8th. That's taken inside ball 1. Gotten lost in the Eastern Division. First player since 2010 with 3 straight 3-hit games against the Mets since Hanley Ramirez did it. Oh, and that one hits him. knocked his helmet off, but it didn't hit him in the head. It hit him in the back. Well, we've seen too many hitters plunked in this series. And Vic Black hits Rendon.
More than we see. It's just a kind of a thing of the past. It's a fastball, just got away from him.
Hit him up in the letters of his name. It's a little high.
I mean, that could be misconstrued, you know, as a, hey, could that, he's killing us. Could that, he'd done it on purpose?
Well, that's what got Bartolo Colon thrown out of the game. Hit 2 batters each after a home run was allowed. Jason Worth takes a strike. So the Mets have now hit 4 batters in this series. 2 by Colon on Thursday night, G last night, and now Black. Meanwhile, the Mets have been hit 3 times as well. So 7 hit batsmen in the 3 games in this series. These teams after tonight still have 4 games remaining tomorrow, and then 3 in Washington week after next. Those will be the Mets' final 3 road games of the year. And Worth takes a fastball outside, 2-1. Zach Wheeler went 4 innings plus, allowed 6 runs and 7 hits. Gonzalez Herman didn't help, didn't get charged with a run, but gave up 2 walks and a hit. Buddy Carlisle, an inning and 2/3, an unearned run on 3 hits, and then Josh Edgin retired his only batter. There goes Rendon, and Worth fouls it off. So the Nats continue to run.
Well, it's only a 4-run ball game, Gare. This game is not over by any stretch of the imagination, and the Nationals do not have this game in the bag. So, yes, they're an aggressive lot, aren't they? Offensively?
Well, particularly in this ballpark. They have had their own way. They lost a game last night, but they've picked right back up tonight. Two to Worth. And a breaking ball in the dirt, 3-2.
Oh, Rendon's going to be sent loose here. He's going to be on his horse.
Kansas City has won their game. They beat Boston 7-1 behind Jeremy Guthrie. So for the moment, they're even with the Tigers atop the AL Central. Detroit still down 4-3 in the 8th against Cleveland. 3-2 to Worth. Rendon runs, and Worth flies one down the right field line, and Granderson eases over.
Oh,
drops the ball. Might have a forced play at second, and gets it there on a hop in time. Rendon had gone back to first, and so that bails out Granderson. They get the 9-6 force play for the first out.
Nothing Rendon can do here. And Curtis, who's been so good against that tight wall down the right field line all year, just dropped it. It's one of the easier ones for him, and he's made some very tough ones. Just plain dropped it. And there's nothing that Rendon can do. Good recovery by Curtis. Rendon going to have to get back. You just assume always keep your eye on the ball. I can't get on him for that. And
that one gets away from Darno, and down to second base goes Worth. A wild pitch thrown by Vic Black.
Well, Vic has been lost a little bit of his sharpness since coming off that little dry period where he didn't pitch because of the neck.
This is just his second outing in 3 weeks as a result. Well, LaRoche, after getting on base 5 times last night, has gone 0 for 4 tonight with a couple of strikeouts. Fouls that one back, a ball and a strike. Roche was the third Met opponent to reach base safely 5 times in a game this year, but the other two, Yasiel Puig and Carlos Ruiz, had more than 5 plate appearances to do it. Roche was the first Met opponent to reach base in all 5 plate appearances. Had a hit and 4 walks last night. Little dribbler, and Black off the mound to field it. 2 out, and Worth moves over to third. So an 0 for 5 night from LaRoche. And now Ian Desmond will bat with 2 out and a runner at third. Desmond 2 for 3 and a walk. He's scored 2, he's driven in 2, he's stolen 2 bases. Seattle's taken a 1-0 lead on Oakland. They're playing in the top of the 4th with Felix Hernandez against Sonny Gray. If the Mariners win that game, they move past the A's in the standings, and Oakland would be out of playoff position.
Hard to believe, huh? And always interesting goings on the last 6 weeks of the season.
Desmond went around 1-1. If Seattle somehow makes it into the postseason, they could be very formidable.
They got decent pitching, don't they?
They got great pitching.
Yes.
Led by Felix Hernandez, Sashi Iwakuman. Chris Young has been great. The young James Paxton has pitched well. Their bullpen's been great. And I think they really helped themselves at the trading deadline when they picked up Austin Jackson to play center field. They didn't really have a center fielder or a leadoff hitter, and now they do. Two and 1 to Desmond with Harper on deck. And he hits one toward the gap in right center. Granderson back, won't get to it. It's off the wall. Worth trots in to score. Desmond with his 3rd hit of the night. Almost had himself a 2-run homer. A scorcher off the wall in right center to make it 8-3 Washington.
That was a scaldy dog right there. That was a rope. You can't pitch him upstairs. You got to go above the strike zone. You pitch him in the belt area, he stays very level and he's strong. That's around a foot from being a home run.
So the Nats continue to tack on. They've now scored in 5 different innings. Bryce Harper has not been retired tonight. 3 for 3 a walk, including a 2-run homer. The Nats now with 8 runs and 12 hits, and so that leadoff hit by pitch comes back to bite Vic Black. Hit Rendon up just below the helmet in the back. So Rendon has 3 hits. Desmond has 3 hits. Harper has 3 hits. Another big offensive night for the Nationals at Citi Field. One of Harper's hits was hit just like that.
Yes.
A little curler on the left side of the infield that went for a hit.
The other 2 were ropes.
To his right, Flores throwing on the run. Close play, but he gets Harper. Side retired. Ian Desmond with an RBI double. Matt Williams coming up to the top step, thinking about it, but he's not going to challenge. 8-3 Washington in the 8th. Dan Warthen, Vic Black, Travis d'Arnaud talking about that last half inning. Black hitting the leadoff batter Anthony Rendon high in the back. And then giving up an RBI double to Ian Desmond. Ross Detweiler will pitch the bottom of the 8th inning for the Nats.
Well, Detweiler last year was a starter, lost the job in spring training. Has been in the bullpen all year and done a credible job there. I'm sure he's not happy being in the bullpen. He'd rather start, but he's accepted his role.
Pitched a 1-2-3 ninth inning in a non-save situation on Thursday night in the opening game of the series. They'll face Juan Lagares, who has 2 of the Mets' 5 hits tonight. Both times a single to left. He scored a run. Lagares, Murphy, and Duda 2, 3, and 4 in the order here in the home 8th. Mets been fighting uphill all night. They were down 6-0 before they finally got on the board on Flores' 2-run homer in the 5th. They got an RBI hit from Granderson in the 6th. 1-1 to Lagares. Meanwhile, in Detroit, Alex Avila hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 8th. And the Tigers have gone in front of the Indians 5-4, a game they need to win to stay in first place.
Huge game for the Tigers, obviously, as well as Cleveland.
The Indians are still in it. They were 4 back in the wild card start of the night. And they'd be 5 back if they lose that game.
Well, those pitching coaches, they're like, that's their little, that's their brood.
Mother hens. Under the glove of Detweiler, smothered by Cabrera, no play. 3rd hit of the night for Juan Lagares.
Sinker away up the middle. That ball was hit harder than you'll think because they hit the top of the front edge of the mound, the incline, kind of skipped the ball up in the air, lost velocity.
So the Mets get the leadoff man on in the bottom of the 8th. And now Murphy 0 for 3 after getting the day off yesterday following that hit by pitch that made his wrist swell on Thursday. And it takes a fastball for a strike. Murph reached on an error his last time up at a double play ball to Desmond that he bobbled and dropped. That's got the first 2 men on in that 6th. They were able to cash 1 run. This one's blooped into shallow center. On comes Span, and he gets there for the first out. So Murphy retired. 1 out and 1 on, and Lucas Duda coming up. Duda trying to find the range against the lefties at a walk and an opposite field single against Gio Gonzalez last night. Tonight, Lucas 0 for 2 and a walk. Struck out his last time up on a curveball from Pfister on a 3-2 pitch that appeared to be off the plate. It was a big out for Pfister after the Mets got the first 2 men on in that inning. Pfister went 6, allowed 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 5 hits, and in line for his 14th win of the year and his 3rd against the Mets. 2-0 to Duda. Travis d'Arnaud on deck. Nobody up in the Washington bullpen. This is Detweiler's inning. And there's a strike, 2-1. Dodgers now lead the Giants 9-0 in the 3rd.
It's going to be a long night in San Francisco.
After the Giants won last night 9-0.
Yeah, was it 9-0?
Yep. Fly ball out to right, easy for Worth. 2 out. You know, that's the 9-0 is the forfeit score.
You know, late in this season like this, when you're in a stretch run and you go on the road, even when you're home and you lose the first game of the series against a team that's down your back, or you're chasing, you've got to bounce back from that loss in the first game of the series.
And the Dodgers bouncing back in a big way against Tim Hudson tonight. Travis d'Arnaud 0 for 3 tonight. Lagares at first and 2 out. And Travis takes up and in for ball 1. Mets' one remaining goal this year has got to be to get to 500 if they can.
Yes.
Whereas every loss now makes that task more difficult. Detweiler handles the comebacker and works around a leadoff base hit. Gets the next 3 hitters out. That sends us off to the 9th. Washington 8, Mets 3. A Honda. Mets have made 4 errors tonight, and here they are. Travis d'Arnaud throws one down the line. Juan Lagares with a bobble. Wilmer Flores with a wide throw. And Dilson Herrera charged with an error that probably should have gone to Duda. There could have been a 5th error when Curtis Granderson dropped a fly ball, but he got an out, so that negated the error.
And 3 of those errors were committed in the 6th inning. And really, it wasn't the inning that had the most damage done. It only scored 1 run.
Movies are open to the late show. Midnight to Saturday night was always Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
Bring your rice. Dario Alvarez will pitch in the 9th inning.
Left-hander slide baller. Loves his slider. You can see he's just been only got 2/3 of an. Made his first Major League appearance in Miami. Didn't get anybody out, but 2/3 of an inning just basically come in to get the left-handed out.
Pitched in the opening game of the series, got LaRoche to fly out. Here he'll get the switch hitting Cabrera. So Cabrera will bat right-handed against him. Then another switch hitter in Lobaton behind him. Well, in Anaheim, Mike Trout has hit his 2nd home run of the night. At 34 now, and the Angels are up 2-1 on Houston as they go for their 10th straight win. 23 years old.
And he's something.
Alvarez, the 6th Met pitcher of the night. Facing Cabrera, who's hitting .236 from the right side of the plate as opposed to .246 left-handed. He's gone 0 for 3 tonight and 0 for 10 in this series. One to Cabrera. Well, the Mets had back-to-back shutouts to finish off their series against Colorado Tuesday and Wednesday. But the Nats with 6 runs and 8 hits Thursday night, 3 runs and 11 hits last night, 8 runs and 12 hits tonight. Different weight class.
No joy in Mudville.
1-2 to Asdrubal Cabrera. Leading off in the 9th inning. And that breaking ball bends wide. 2-2. We'll say Lobaton on deck. And then the pitcher spot for the Nats. Yanked foul. Did I mention there's a day game tomorrow? John Neese will be pitching tomorrow for the Mets. Jordan Zimmerman will be going for the Nationals.
Zimmerman works quick, hard, pumps the strike zone. John Neese throws strikes. Should be a beautiful day tomorrow.
1:10 start here at Citi Field. Hope everybody can join us on a glorious Sunday afternoon. That's hit hard over the bag. A fair ball. And that'll go all the way down in the corner. Cabrera pulls into second base with a leadoff double. 29th double of the year for Asdrubal Cabrera. And that's Dario Alvarez's night begins.
Fastball up and down the middle.
First hit of the series for Cabrera. And the 13th hit of the night for the Nats. Now it's Lobaton, who's 2 for 4, and one of his outs was a scorching line drive to right. Now he bats right-handed for the first time. He's hitting a little bit higher from the right side than the left. 241 right-handed, 223 left-handed. Met Scott Hairston on deck. Chopped foul, 1-1. Final in Detroit. Tigers beat the Indians 5-4, so Detroit stays in first place by a half game over Kansas City.
What a huge home run that was in the 8th inning.
Alex Avila, a 2-run shot to bring the Tigers from behind. Out to left field, and Nieuwenhuis has it measured. That's the first out of the inning. So Lobaton is retired. And now Scott Hairston, who's made a career of feasting on left-handers, will be the pinch hitter. Hairston 2 years ago had just a tremendous year for the Mets, hit 20 home runs.
I think the Mets got the most out of Scott. Went on to the Cubs. Things didn't work out well there for him at Chicago.
Amazingly, Hairston does not have a home run against a left-hand pitcher this year in 51 at-bats.
Oh, got him on the backswing.
So Darno gets belted again. That's how he suffered his concussion when Alfonso Soriano hit him earlier this year.
Oh, they're lucky he didn't get him in the helmet. It got him. Well, still got him.
One-handed follow-through. After he got clocked by Soriano back in May, Travis ditched the hockey mask and went back to the traditional helmeted mask, hoping it would provide more protection. There's been talk about moving him back a little bit further. But on those one-handed follow-throughs, I'm not sure there's anything you can do.
You can't get too far behind moving back the catcher from the hitter. And we see more of it today. Hardly ever happened. That I can recall when I played.
Cincinnati has beaten Milwaukee tonight 5-1. So that means the Pirates will stay at least a game and a half in front in the second wild card. They're down 6-3 in the 9th against the Cubs. Strike 3 called. Got him with a backdoor breaking ball. So Alvarez has his first strikeout. The 8th tonight for Met pitching.
That's strike. See the umpire resting his right hand on the shoulder. You see that a lot from umpires. They get a little bit of balance, but they can't obviously push on the catcher and affect his. It's all about the catcher. The umpire doesn't have to field.
Well, the guy I always remember was Shaq Crawford, who put his arm almost around the waist of the catcher when he set up. And I always wondered how the catcher dealt with that. It was back when I was a kid.
You want to dance?
Now it's Denard Span, his 6th plate appearance. 0 for 4 and a walk. Josh Edgen got him out in a big spot in the 7th with runners at 2nd and 3rd to end that inning. But it stands to reason anytime you get 6 plate appearances in a game, it means your team's had a pretty good night. And so the Nats have 8 runs and 13 hits and 4 Met errors. Alvarez trying to work around the leadoff double by Cabrera. He's still at 2nd with 2 out. And Span takes the slider inside. 1-1. Xavier Cedeno is the left-hander up in the Nationals bullpen. Looks like he'll get a chance to finish this game with at least a 5-run lead. One coming to Span, and he swings over that slider. 1-2.
Big sweeping slider, what Alvarez likes to throw to lefties. It's a little 3/4, almost a side armor. Big sweeper.
Dodgers added another run on a Juan Uribe home run. They're up 10-0 on the Giants. Tim Hudson went 1 inning plus, allowed 6 runs and 8 hits. They brought Tim Lincecum out of the bullpen. He's given up 4 more runs. Only in the 4th, 10-0 LA. Now the 1-2 coming. And Alvarez misses outside with the fastball. 2-2. Mario Alvarez, who began his year in low A ball pitching in Savannah, will be honored here on Monday when the Mets hand out their Sterling Awards honoring their top minor leaguers. From the low A ball level to the big leagues in the same season, it's unheard of. Two. Hit in the air to deep right center. Granderson back to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Denard Span with a 2-run homer, his 5th home run of the season. And that puts the icing on the cake for the Nats. They now lead at 10-3. 2nd home run of the night for Washington as they continue to find the range here at Citi Field.
Hanging slider. Right down the pipe. Span stays back. Let the ball break into the bat. Displays his little bit of power there. 5th home run.
Somebody made a nice catch. Ten runs and 14 hits for the Nationals tonight. Now Anthony Rendon, who has 3 of those hits, got hit by a pitch his last time up, and he pulls this one through the hole for his 4th hit of the night. And his 10th hit in 3 games in this series. So Rendon just incredibly hot.
Hit parade. That young man is a star.
Terry Collins is on his way out to the mound. Looks like he's going to make another pitching change. Well, nice catch in the bullpen. Somebody with a catcher's mask on. Nice grab. Eric Goodell will come out of the Mets bullpen to try and get the final out of this top of the ninth. Call to the bullpen brought to you by McDonald's. There's something for everyone to love at McDonald's.
Yep.
Transplanted out in center field. Up on top of Shake Shack. Guy can go for a burger right about now. It's a long game.
And
Eric Goodell comes on the pitch.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I got a little yogurt at home in the refrigerator. I'm going to have to mix that with some almonds or something.
I'm just not sure that yogurt's going to do, Keith.
Hey, you got to have a little protein. All right, this is go.
Well, Mets are about to throw their 200th pitch of the night. That'll be thrown by Mr. Goodell, who had a good outing in the first game of this series. Worked an inning and 2/3, did not allow a hit. Dario Alvarez gave up 3 hits and 2 runs here in the ninth. And we'll get a pinch hitter. Steven Souza is going to bat for Jason Worth. Worth, who has been suffering from, what was the word? Dead legs.
Yes.
So he'll get off the field for the last inning. And Souza, who had a huge year in the minor leagues this year, will be the pinch hitter. Just 1 for 14 in the big leagues. And Souza takes a curveball outside from Goodell, the 7th Met pitcher of the night. So Jason Worth comes out after a 1 for 5, 2 RBI night. And Souza pops one up. Darno comes back for a look, but that'll be out of play. 1-1. This is the 15th game between the Mets and Nats this year.
Pirates trying to come back in the 9th, Gary?
Strike 3 called. Souza's out. That's a final now. Cubs beat the Pirates 6-4. So we go to the bottom of the 9th. Denard Span's home run makes it 10-3 Washington. Tri-State BMW centers. By Time Warner Cable, enjoy more shows on more screens. Time Warner Cable, enjoy better. By Volvo. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. And by Chevrolet, find new roads. Changes as we go to the bottom of the ninth. Michael Taylor comes in to play center field. Steven Souza, who pinch hit, goes into right field, and left-hander Xavier Cedeno will try and get the final 3 outs.
Well, this is called mopping up in baseball parlance. These blowout games.
Cedeno has spent some time with the Astros. Spent most of this year in the minor leagues, 35 appearances for AAA Syracuse. Pitched very well down there and getting a shot late in the season. Fans waiting for the fireworks. Josh Satin, hoping to delay them, will bat for Curtis Granderson as we start the bottom of the ninth. Granderson went 2 for 2, hit by a pitch and an RBI tonight. So with the lefty in the game, Satin gets the call. Flores on deck, Herrera behind him. 10-3 Washington as we start the bottom of the ninth. Josh hit a comebacker as a pinch hitter last night, and he takes the pitch low for ball 1. Doug Fister stands to get his 14th win. He went 6 innings, allowed 3 runs, 2 earned on 5 hits. Rafael Soriano and Ross Detweiler each with a scoreless inning behind him. And there's a strike. 1-1 to Satin. So Milwaukee lost, Pittsburgh lost, St. Louis trying to take advantage and go up by 3.5 in the Central. They were up 5-1 going to the ninth, but the Rockies have scored 3 runs. It's now 5-4 St. Louis with 2 out and the tying run at second. Inside to Satin, 2-1. Nothing comes easily in a pennant race. Meanwhile, Josh Donaldson has homered off Felix Hernandez, and the A's have tied up the Mariners 1-1 in the 6th. Nationals trying to make it 12 wins and 15 tries against the Mets this year, and if they win, their magic number will be down to 6 for clinching the National League East. Lowest magic number going into the day was both Baltimore and Anaheim, each with a magic number of 5. The Orioles lost, the Angels are winning. Swing and a miss. Satin is struck out. That's the first out in the bottom of the ninth.
Fast. Oh, a little cutter in. Nice spot.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Wilmer Flores, who got the Mets on the board with a 2-run homer in the 5th inning, his 4th of the year. 1 for 3 on the night. And Flores gets out of the way. Ball 1. Keith is shredding documents next to me.
Hey, it's very Gary. It's covert. Come on.
A little identity protection.
When the games are over, I don't like to. We have the crew back here. We have Russ, our stage manager. They clean up our mess. But all my papers like this here, and they're all. I shred them when it's a blowout, and this is what you've been hearing.
But
and so Russ doesn't have to come in and clean up my mess.
What if there's a comeback and maybe you need those papers? No. Okay.
Al, what are you laughing at?
Two 2-0 to Flores with 1 out and nobody on. And Wilmer pops one up. Out goes Desmond to call. Called off by Harper, and Harper stays on his feet, and there are 2 out. So the Mets are down to their final out of the night. Dilson Herrera coming up. The Cardinals held on to beat the Rockies 5-4. Harper almost losing his footing. So St. Louis now up 3.5 on Pittsburgh in the NL Central. Coming up after we're done here, Nice people at Pix 11 News will be taking over. And over on SNY, it's WB Mason Postgame Live if you'd like to relive this.
Do you think that the people over in the newsroom and at Pix are watching this game?
I think they are, because they need to know when their show is going to start. And we have to get done.
I understand.
Before they can begin their evening's work. Should be any time now. Get ready, Kitey. Herrera is 0 for 3 tonight. And he bangs one foul, and the Mets are down to their last strike. Kitey's that much closer. Cedeno trying to secure the final out, and he gets it as Herrera swings. One more thing to do. Lobaton makes the toss, and that's the end of the night. The Nationals exert their dominance again after the Mets got themselves a win last night. 10 runs and 15 hits as the Nationals score early and often and bombard the Mets 10-3.
Well, this game was set the tone early. The 2-run shot by Bryce Harper, his 13th in the first inning. Zach Wheeler went to 10-10, got the loss. This is one of the few games that Zach just didn't have it. He didn't have his good fastball. They were on his fastball. He made a lot of pitches over the middle, gave up 6 runs and 5+. But the Nationals had 2 home runs. The bright star for the Mets is Lagares with 3 hits.
Game summary brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Anthony Rendon, 10 hits in the first 3 games of the series. We'll see what he does for an encore tomorrow in the final game of the series. It'll be on SNY with John Neese against Jordan Zimmerman. Our coverage begins tomorrow at 12:30. Our next Pix telecast next Saturday from Atlanta, 7 o'clock. Coming up next is the Pix 11 News. Now for Keith Hernandez, Steve Gelbs, and our entire crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field.